Let's go. Cube draft. We got Monastery Mentor. Let's go. Cube draft. Why am I hearing myself? YouTube is open. We also have Luris, which is kind of an interesting. Why am I still hearing myself? Hold on. There we go. Kind of an interesting first pick because you can try to build the companion, but it's kind of hard to do. I think I want to take Monastery Mentor. In the last cube, I was really having fun building like the Jeskai spells deck with Narset. I don't know if they have Narset in this cube. I haven't seen her in the couple times that I tried it. So there's Yorion, which is also, you could just build a Yorion deck if you get him early. Royal Eruption is pretty good. Rip Apart is okay.
There's always been a Baggins.
Loran is really good, but I think I would take Yorion
There always will be.
over Loran. I guess I'll take Yorion. We can try to build a 60 card deck maybe. So let's see what we have here. Spell Queller, Sea Double, Foundry, Kenrith. Not really that great. Spell Queller's kind of okay. I think I'll take that. Restoration is pretty good. Approach. Take the restoration here.
Welcome to Rivendell, Frodo Baggins.
Kind of want to take Ephemerate here. Yeah. Presidential debates on tonight, or the Republican GOP debates, I should say. Can't pretend I actually care. Alright, Ossification is really good. Thraben Inspector is better with Yorion. Sarah Paragon, obviously, really good. Yeah, I think I'll take the Paragon here. Thalia, Skycleave, Rona, Birth of Meletis. Thalia is pretty good. I think I'll take the Birth though. Adeline is not very good. In this deck, we could take Blink or Treasure Map, though. I'll take Treasure Map. see. Blessed Alliance or Guardian Idol. I want the Guardian Idol. Trump's on Tucker. Yeah. I mean, it's not live though, is it? It's just an upload. But yeah, I guess a lot of people aren't going to be watching, but I don't care. Okay, here's the first off-color thing. But I'll take the rip apart. I'm probably going to watch the the Tucker Trump thing on the Cope tomorrow morning, so that's why I don't really care about it, because I'm just going to watch it later. What's a better card game, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, or Magic the Gathering, or Gwent from Witcher 3? Magic is definitely the better game out of those four. Gwent was really like, once you kind of figured out what to do, it was really easy to just crush the computer every time. Archangel Elspeth. I kind of want to take Nightclub Bouncer here. Is that crazy? Is that just crazy? In the Trenches, Ledger Shredder, Portable Hole, Metamorph. Some good cards here. Ravnica Invasion. Kind of In the Trenches or Ledger Shredder here, I think. Giver of Runes. Giver of Runes is kind of good. It's not Mother of Runes, but it's kind of good. Maybe I'm supposed to take that. You just like, you have to kill it. You just have to kill this thing. Surge Engine. I'm going to take the Invasion of New Phyrexia here. So, okay, Nick is on now. I might, some good cards here too. I think I'll take this guy. This guy kind of combos with Restoration a little bit. I wouldn't hate having Karn though, but I'll take this. All right, I'm gonna mute my music and put Nick on, and I'll listen to Nick's watching the debates.
So tonight, these candidates have a big opportunity to break out of the pack and to explain why they are best prepared to be the Republican choice for president, at a time when the likely Democrat nominee, President Joe Biden, is working to convince the country that with Bidenomics, things are looking up.
They call my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
But is it? More than 65% of Americans say the country is headed in the wrong direction. And here's the reality for some voters we talked to here in Wisconsin this week.
Elishnorn Opt.
We have noticed a dramatic increase in prices at the grocery store just across the board.
Gas is high.
And the Eternal
food is high.
Wanderer. I
A
think
lot
I
of
guess you
people
take
out
the
here
Eternal
homeless because
Wanderer
they
here,
can't
right?
buy food.
It's tough when you got mortgage rates at 7-8% versus 2 to 3. It's just you can't afford the house anymore.
No love for Giver.
inflation is
I took the
ridiculous.
Giver in the
It's
end.
killing us out
I
here.
talked myself into it.
As we sit here tonight, the #1 song on the Billboard chart is
No.
called Rich Men
No.
North of Richmond.
Come on.
It is by a singer from
Oh my gosh.
Farmville, Virginia, named Oliver Anthony. His lyrics speak of alienation,
crazy.
of deep frustration with the state of government
Guess I
and
take
of this
the
country.
canal here. This
Washington,
is not a good
D.C.
pack.
is about 100 miles north of Richmond.
The hard thing about building a Yorion deck is you really don't have many slots for like lands, much less cards that aren't going to make your deck. But we're not doing too bad here, especially if we do end up putting the red cards in.
Why
Seriously?
is this song striking such a nerve in this country
No
right
way.
now?
Blade
What do you
Splicer.
think
That's
it means?
crazy.
The first
Our
song
country
question
in
is
decline. This decline
why
is
do
not
people like
inevitable.
this
It's
song?
a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his
I'd
basement
like to take
and
the Sacred
reverse
Foundry,
American
but
decline.
I'm just going to take
And it's
Elspeth.
Fake crowd. Crowd is fake. What's going on
Surprised
with
this
understanding we
card
must reverse
tabled.
Bidenomics so
This
that
card is, like,
middle-class
really
families have a
good
chance
in the
to
right deck.
succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if
In the
you
trenches
are working
table
hard
as
and you
well. I
can't
guess
afford
nobody's playing-
groceries, a car, or a new
nobody's
home,
playing
while
White
Hunter
Weenie.
Biden can make hundreds of thousands of dollars
Thalia.
on lousy
Hunter
paintings.
Biden.
That is wrong.
Bingo.
We
I could
also
take
cannot
Lord.
succeed
This-
when the
this card's
Congress spends trillions and
The
trillions
good
of
pick
dollars.
if I'm actually
Those
putting red,
rich men
which
north
I
of
probably
Richmond
have
have
to if
put
I
us
really
in
wanna
this
do the
situation.
Orient
And finally,
one.
we need to lower
Take
your
the
gas prices. We're
Caravan.
going to open up all energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country.
Goldspan Dragon is really greedy.
Okay, Rumble. What's going
I
on,
showed
Rumble?
it could be done in the state of Florida. I pledge to you as your president, we will get the job done, and I
Okay,
will not
Mother
let
Machines
you
is
down.
kind of what I'm trying to do here. Packing
Look
Invasion
at that
super
smile
good.
after. What was that?
Sun
I will
Titan
not let you
Protege.
down.
I agree with Governor
I'd take the
DeSantis just said
Elishnorn
there, and
though,
why would
right?
you be better on the economy
That was weird.
than him?
Well, look, I do agree predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. I think that if you asked every one of us
Swords to
up here, that we would agree
Plowshares.
predominantly with what he just laid out. Here's the difference. The difference is that we're going
Hard
to
to
have
go
to
wrong
work
with
and
the
make
swords.
sure that we sell these ideas. And be able to put ourselves in a position where we get a majority of the vote, not only by winning the Congress and the Senate in 24, but also by having someone who's had the experience of doing it. Now, I was
Who even
elected
is
as a
this guy?
conservative Republican in a blue state with 61% of the vote, with a Democratic
Is that the guy
legislature
Trump
against
was
me the
calling
entire
fat
time.
the other day?
And we still, through hard, strong decision making, brought them around to our point of view. We cut taxes in New Jersey. We cut debt in New Jersey. We made sure that each and every time we were confronted with
Take
bad
an
Democratic
impulse here.
ideas, we stood and stopped them.
boy.
And when there were good
This
ideas,
is
we
gonna
brought
suck,
people together
honestly.
to make progress going forward.
Invasion.
Truth and
take the
accountability
Resto,
are the things we need to do to
Angel.
fight waste. And I'd say the last thing is this, Brett. We cannot sit by any longer and allow the kind of spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children and their grandchildren. It's robbing our country, and it's wrong.
Well, Governor, let me just follow up very quickly. New Jersey,
All they're
when you
talking
were
about
governor,
is-
had the second lowest credit rating in the nation after Illinois.
All they're talking about
It
is
was
money.
downgraded 11 times.
Taxes
Yep.
and debt.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you inherit a blue state that has done that. But when you look at what we did on debt, Brett, in that state, we cut debt in that state, debt that had been left to us by 3 Democratic gubernatorial predecessors of mine who ran up that debt tremendously. And what you also saw us do was to cut the unemployment rate in half. It was over 10% when I became governor in 2010. What we also did was cut pension payments to public employees to make sure that taxpayers were not being soaked by a public employee union system that was killing the taxpayer.
Thank you, Governor.
Tim Scott, Senator Scott, excuse me. The song also goes after welfare programs.
The song.
as a senator, now
Oliver
President
Anthony.
Biden, argued for freezing federal spending, this was back in the 80s, and dealing with sacred cows. He does not talk about that anymore. You have been a senator, though, for 10 years. So what have you done to rein in the increasing size of government?
Well, thank you for the question. Over the last several years, I've had an opportunity
Blue
to vote
sun
against
or
spending package after
Soon's
spending package after
intervention
spending package.
or
What we also
electrolyze.
need to understand is that Joe Biden's Bidenomics has led to the loss of $10,000 of spending power for the
Spell
average family.
pierce.
When you see 16% inflation, your gas is up 40%, your food is up 20%, your electricity is up 20%. We can stop that by turning the spigot off at Washington, sending the money back to the states, and allowing the decisions to be made at their own houses. I helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017. We cut taxes for a single mom like the one that raised me by 70%, for dual households
Like the one
by
that raised me.
60%, returning to the average
Is that
family
the mayor of New York? Is he a
$4,000. If you don't
GOP
send it to
presidential
Washington, you can't
candidate?
spend it. That's good news for the American people.
Okay, but just to follow up, you did, during the Trump administration...
Doesn't
you
say their
approved,
name on screen. Like I'm supposed to know
$4.4
who all
trillion,
these people
$4.1
are.
trillion,
Moderators are
$4.7
really
trillion
coming
over
for
the
these
course of that
guys.
administration. That's a lot of money.
There's no doubt that during the Trump administration, when we were dealing with the COVID virus, we spent more money. But here's what happened at the end of our time in the majority. We had low unemployment, record low unemployment, 3.5% for the majority of the population, 70-year low for women. African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians had a
He's so eloquent.
all-time low, but our inflation was at 2%. Under Joe
Really
Biden,
well-spoken.
we've seen the exact opposite.
really
We've
well-spoken
seen
guy.
inflation explode,
Wow, wedding
which led to 12
announcements.
Federal Reserve
Second last
increases
pick.
that's devastating home buyers today.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you're listening to these answers.
If I may,
Oh,
hold
hold
that
on one
was our
second. We're going
administration, so I don't know if I get a
He
chance
didn't-
to respond.
He didn't mention you specifically,
Wow.
but we'll be with you in a second, Mr. Vice President.
Drama.
Mr. Ramaswamy, listening to all of this, why should voters choose you over more experienced politicians on this stage? You're basically, a blank slate for people. You're 38 years old. You've said that you only voted in 2 presidential elections before this moment, this political race.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician, Brett. You're right about that. I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while
So
marrying
you
my
can
wife, Apurva, raising
two
our 2
cards.
sons, following our faith in God.
Should
That
probably
is the
cut the
American
gold
dream.
Which God?
span.
And I am genuinely worried that
Vishnu?
that American dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation unless we do something about it. And I do think Brett is going to take an outsider, because for a long time we have professional politicians in the Republican Party who have been running
I
from
don't want
something.
spell pierce.
Now is
and
our
I
moment to
don't
start
want-
running to
I
something.
think I want Grim
to our
Lavamancer.
vision of what it means to be an American today.
Whoa!
You have a broken car, you don't turn over the keys to the people who broke it again.
Right.
You hand it over to a new
We'll
generation to
pretend
actually fix the
every time I
problem.
draw
That's why
Gold
I'm in this
Span
race, so we're just
Dragon,
getting
will
warmed
ask
up.
myself
awesome.
if I would
Good
have
answer.
been better off having it be Grim Lavamancer instead.
To turn around this economy that we've heard all of these voters talking about.
She's hot,
tonight.
I'm not gonna lie.
Then Mr. Ramaswamy, who is a successful entrepreneur nationally right now, he's beating you in the polls.
Damn.
Well, I don't care about polls. What I care about the fact is that
Yeah,
no one
who's
is
the
telling the
jogger?
American people the truth. The truth is that
That's what I was
Biden
asking.
didn't do this to us. Our Republicans did this to us too. When they passed that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill, they left us with 90 million people on Medicaid, 42 million people on food stamps. No one has told you how to fix it. I'll tell you how to fix it. They need to stop the spending. They need to stop the borrowing. They need to eliminate the earmarks that the Republicans brought back in. And they need to make sure they understand these are taxpayer dollars. It's not their dollars. And while they're all saying this, you have Ron DeSantis, you've got Tim Scott, you've got
Whoa.
Mike Pence. They all voted to raise the debt. And Donald Trump
Whoa.
added $8 trillion to our debt. And our kids are never going to forgive us for this. And so at the end of the day, you look at the 2024 budget, Republicans asked for $7.4 billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. So you tell me who are the big spenders. I think it's time for an accountant in the
That's
White House.
kind of
Vice President
retarded,
Pence.
though. Because the budget is trillions. You're talking about earmarks? That's not the problem is not earmarks.
54% of voters say the cost of groceries
$7
is a,
billion.
quote,
The budget's
major
like
problem
$7
for
trillion,
them.
idiot.
You blame the Biden administration.
But they're all they
spending
talk about is
for that
money.
increase.
All you people
But as
care
Vice
about is
President,
money.
Your administration spent more than
What about the
anybody,
border?
$7.8 trillion added to the national debt, $3.5 trillion of that
more of this.
before COVID. So does that mean that you're part of the spending problem?
Well, first off, thanks
She's
for the
hot, though.
question. Thanks for letting me respond to a reference to our administration's record. I'm incredibly proud of the record of the Trump-Pence administration. I mean, in 4 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We unleashed American energy. And we appointed 3 conservatives to the Supreme Court that gave the American people a new beginning for the right to life. Now, Martha, you asked earlier who's the most best prepared for this job. And I must tell you, with all due respect to all of my friends on the stage, and even to one that's probably looking on, I think unquestionably I am the best prepared, the most tested, the most qualified and proven conservative in this race. I was a leader in the Congress of the United States. I led Indiana where we balanced budgets and had a AAA bond rating when I was governor. And as Vice President of the United States, we spent funding to backfill on the military cuts of the Obama administration, and then we were there in the worst pandemic in 100 years. All that being said, I was the first person in this race to say that we've got to deal with the long-term national debt issues. You got people on this stage that won't even talk about issues like Social Security and Medicare. I mean, Vivek, you recently said a president can't do everything. Well, I got news for you, Vivek. I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West Wing. A president of the United States has to confront every crisis facing America. I will put our nation
Well, that was my
back
deck
on the path to growth
running
and
way
prosperity
better than
and restore
expected.
fiscal responsibility,
That was a really,
just as I did
just a
in
really
Congress
lucky
and as
draw.
governor
Mr. Vice President.
and when I was vice president.
And I kind of actually want spell piercing.
Fiscal responsibility. That's the battle cry.
Vivek first.
Fiscal
This isn't that
responsibility.
complicated,
And they
guys.
want to cut
I want
Social
American
Security.
energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Put people back to work by no longer paying them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Fed, stabilize the U.S. dollar, and go to war. The only war that I will declare as U.S. president will be the war on the federal administrative state that is the source of those toxic regulations.
Let's go.
Acting like a wet blanket.
He's great.
So,
I like
I'm not
him.
sure I exactly
Yeah,
understood
Vivek has
Mike
the most
Pence's comment,
charisma
but I'll
out of
let you
any
all
of these
parse that
people.
out. To me,
Oh,
it's pretty simple.
damn.
That's something a U.S. president can do with focus, and I'll deliver on
Well,
it.
let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you, Vivek, if I can. I'll go slower this time.
I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look,
comprehension.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a deficit reduction act.
You're
that
not
was the last
cool.
time
You're
we
gay.
actually
We
reduced
hate you.
the national debt in the United States when I was the leader of House conservatives. I balanced budgets and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people.
That was a good line. That was a good line.
We need to bring
That was a good line. But he cooked that one before, a pre-cooked line.
When you have a rebuttal, okay? And you are up, Governor DeSantis.
So here's the thing. Why are we in this mess? Part of it,
Vivek
and a major
can't
reason,
respond?
is because how this federal government handled COVID-19 by locking down this economy. It was a mistake. It should have never happened. And in Florida, we led the country out of lockdown. We kept our state free and open. And I can tell you this, as your president, I will never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down. You don't take somebody like Fauci and coddle him. You bring Fauci in, you sit him down, and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
He's so gay.
Anthony, we need to talk.
He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have that
I
X
just want to Mike for 1
factor.
second because he invoked me back. Listen, now that everybody's gotten their memorized, pre-prepared slogans, out of the way, we can actually have a real discussion.
Let's go. Eat shit. Eat shit.
Was that one of yours?
Not really, Mike, actually. We're just going to have some fun tonight. And the reality is, you have a bunch of people, professional politicians, super PAC puppets, following slogans handed over to them by their 400-page super PACs last week. The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth? Do you want incremental reform which is what you're hearing about, or do you want revolution? Okay, and I stand on the side of the American revolution.
Love that.
Love
that rhetoric.
We
Love
need
that
to
rhetoric.
have a moment on the economy.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Can I address the
There are
COVID
two
issue
people
that
who
the
have
governor
not.
brought up?
We're going to
No.
get back to that. We are. There are two people who we have not heard from yet. So let's hear from Governor Burgum and then from Governor Hutchinson on the economy, sir.
Well, great. Thank you, Martha. And of course, I'm from a town of 300 people. It's a big deal to make it on this stage with all these folks. But
Who are you? Who are you? We don't even know.
when they were all wishing me well, and I think I took them a little too literally when they said, go to Milwaukee and break a leg. So, but I do want to say on this, we're missing something. We can't just talk about the Biden economy because the economy, energy, and national security are all tied together. Of course, we're paying too much for our energy in our state in our country right now. But part of the reason why is because of the Biden policies on energy. We've got a plan right now, the $1.2 trillion of Green New Deal spending buried in the Inflation Creation Act.
That's like Nebraska's
is just
contempt or
subsidizing
something
China.
that I can
If we're going to
spell,
stop
Pierce.
buying oil from the Middle East and start buying batteries
That's
from
a
China, we're just trading
five-mana
OPEC for
spell. That's
Sinopec. And then
non-creature.
belatedly, the
That's
Biden
the
administration says,
Planeswalker.
no, we're going to put sanctions
Planeswalker.
on Russian oil. Well, we put sanctions on Russian oil, well, then it's 20% off. Who's buying it? China. So if you buy a battery in this country, you buy a solar panel, it's being produced in a plant in China powered by coal, or it's being powered by oil and gas at 20% off, and every farmer in this country would like to buy diesel at 20% off, just like they're buying it in China.
Governor Hutchinson, quickly.
He's cooking. He cooked.
I could have crewed the caravan.
Delighted to be here tonight. And
Not
let me
sure
just
if
tell
he
you
knows
that
it.
I'm a pro-life governor from a conservative
Look at
state
this.
that has
Look
a
at this.
conservative record
Israel
in which
flag.
I lowered taxes in Arkansas as governor.
That's crazy.
I created a $2 billion surplus that I passed over to my successor, and I made sure
Southerner,
that
by
the
the way.
Oh, you don't
Southerner
get
as of
two of
government.
those because it's
We
not
have
an ETB.
14% fewer state employees in Arkansas after I left government than when I took over as governor
Look
8
at
years
him,
ago.
with the Israel
I tell
flag
that
thing.
because that's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government, that can actually reduce the size, and I've pledged to reduce by 10% our federal non-defense workforce. That's a specific pledge to make that attacks the administrative state. And let me applaud some of the business partners that are here that have had success in business.
That's
But let me
crazy.
tell you, I've been a federal prosecutor.
I can't even
I've
hear him. It's too
served
distracting.
Our country in terms of being head of the DEA, in Homeland Security, in times of crisis. And while I think that that's experience that is important for the future of our country, to be the president of the United States that can lead with positive solutions and be held accountable.
Thank you. We have a lot of topics to get to, and I promise we're going
Israel
to get to
flag
everyone
pin.
if we play within the rules. Okay, next topic. More than 1,000 people are still unaccounted for in Maui after the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. Hawaii's governor and White House officials said that climate change amplified the cost of human error.
That's fake.
And a tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. The ocean hit 101 degrees off the coast of Florida. And in the last month, the heat wave in the Southwest broke records nearly 50 years old.
So Alexander Diaz from Young America's Foundation has a question for you all.
Polls consistently show that young people's #1 issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want
It's
to start
not real.
on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in
This is
human
good.
behavior
This is good.
causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander?
So do you want to raise your hand or not?
That was good.
Gotcha, bitch.
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just
Oh no! I forgot about the Legion archive. Oh god!
because of the way the corporate
Brutal.
media treats
Oh,
Republicans
that was
versus
not
Democrats.
good.
Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He
It's too
said
quick
no
on that
comment.
one.
Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this.
And answer the question?
And here's the deal.
Let's just answer the question.
So
It's
is
so
that a yes
over.
or is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do
It's
not.
Jover.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and it's my hands are in my pockets.
No,
because
no,
the
I
climate
didn't
change
raise- I
agenda
didn't
is a
raise a
hoax. Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have
Based.
And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda
I'm
is
glad
the
he
wet
did that.
blanket on our economy.
No, instead
And
of
so the
end
reality
term.
is, more people are
Or
dying
instead
of
of
bad
in
climate
response
change
to me targeting.
policies than they are of actual climate
Governor
change.
Haley, are you bought and paid for?
That was awesome. I love it. I love it.
Listen.
No,
Wait,
no.
hold on.
What a pussy.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
Oh, this is good.
And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Damn.
Give me a hug just like you did to
The
Obama.
same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The
bear
same
hug, brother.
type of
That was
amateur.
fire.
Hold on.
His delivery's not great on the
Would you like to
banter.
respond
The
to
banter's not
those?
great.
Brett,
paid
what I would
for?
like to say is the fact that I think
Wrecked.
this is exactly why
Wrecked by
Margaret
Ellis
Thatcher said,
Moore.
if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
Shut the fuck up, you stupid fucking bitch.
First of all, we do
That's
care
crazy.
about clean air, clean water. We want to
hold
see
on.
that taken care of. But there's
1,
a
2,
right
3,
way
1,
to
2,
do
3,
it.
4,
And the right way to do it is,
1, 2,
first of
3.
all,
Okay.
yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done, what that does. Half of the batteries for electric vehicles are made in China. And so that's not helping the environment. You're putting money in China's pocket, and Biden did that. So, first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the truth, which
The
is
banter's
these
great
subsidies
tonight.
are not
I'm loving
working.
it.
We also need to take on the international world and say, okay, India
The
and China, you've
international
got to
world?
stop polluting, and that's when we'll start to deal with
Senator
We have to
Scott,
go
are
to
you
that
bought and paid for?
international world.
Absolutely.
Are you bought and paid for?
I'm sorry.
Are you bought and paid
Absolutely not. I mean, here's what the American people deserve: is a debate about the issues that affect their lives. Going back and forth, being childish, is not helpful to the American people
Oh,
to
shut
decide
up.
on the next leader of our country. Number one, wait a second.
Shut
Number two,
up.
as a kid who grew up in a single-parent household,
Oh,
mired
my
in
gosh.
poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in my Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett. America,
Do it quickly.
America has cut. I'm a Southern boy, I talk slow. So America.
Is that why?
America, that was quick. America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase.
How many people are
Africa,
watching this on
950
Rumble
million
right
people.
now?
India, over 1 billion. China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a
252,000?
disadvantage,
254,000?
devastating our own economy. Let's bring our jobs home.
We have a lot of different topics to get
Yeah, we do. We thank you all. Thank you, Senator Scott.
All
coming
right.
up next, the candidates will weigh in on what could
This
be a
is
defining
awesome.
issue in the 2024 campaign. The first Republican debate continues moments away.
Let's go!
Can't chart
That
a
was
course
awesome.
unless a deal with Narset.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, who do you guys think is winning so far? Press 1 for Vivek, 2 for DeSantis,
wanna
3 for somebody else. 1 Vivek, 2 DeSantis, 3
End this game.
somebody else. Quick poll. 1 in the chat for Vivek, 2 for DeSantis, 3 someone else. Let me know what you think. Seen a lot of 1s. It's almost all 1s. Wow, it's all 1s. I don't think I've seen a not 1. I saw 1, 2, and a 3. Yeah, okay. Vivek is cooking, man. He's doing a great job. Nikki Haley's not doing so bad either, because she's got this reputation as a real neocon, so her coming out there swinging against Republicans and doing this, it's both sides. That's interesting rhetoric. And it's interesting because she is an establishment candidate, and even though she is establishment, she is playing the anti-establishment card. And I think this whole night shows the indelible mark that Trump has left on politics, specifically on the Republican side, because they're all bringing the banter, they're all aggressive, they're all really trying to, on the one hand, they're balancing with the experience, because that's conventional part of it, is, oh, I was a governor, when I was governor, when I was vice president. But at the same time, some of them are going for this, even they're going for an anti-Republican angle, which I don't know that was very popular before Trump. So that's interesting. I think Vivek is doing well. He's very well spoken. He is kind of getting his lunch eaten. Like, the banter is not landing. His banter is not landing. Like, his response to Chris Christie was good. He said, "Oh, well, give me a big hug," because if you're young, maybe you don't remember this, but Chris Christie famously gave Barack Obama a hug, I think, after Hurricane Sandy. And Trump and Rand Paul attacked him for that 8 years ago. But that didn't quite land. When he said, "Oh, give me a hug," then it was fire, but he didn't, I don't know that landed great. The timing was a little off. Same thing with Mike Pence. I think Mike Pence kind of kicked the shit out of him a little bit. So the banter's not top. I'm just going to say I don't think the banter's really landing. But he is very effective. Like, he stole the initiative from Mike Pence early on. He grabbed the climate change. Saying that climate change was a hoax, that was very powerful. That was very smart to just say it straight up and say, well, I'm not owned, so I can say it's fake. I thought that was very good. Besides that, I mean, I know the topic is fiscal conservatism, but it's interesting that that's what all their opening statements were about. Because the question was about the song. The question was about this Oliver Anthony song, and broadly about Bidenomics, and they're all effectively giving their opening statements, and it's all just about money. Like, I didn't hear immigration mentioned one time. It's all been about energy and the budget, which, in the same way that maybe this shows how the style has changed, people are more pugnacious like Trump, at the same time, the substance has slid back. I'm talking about their tactics are Trumpian, but the things that they're saying sound like the pre-Trump Republican Party, the way they're all talking about debt, spending,
you didn't even get the
unemployment,
tapping
inflation.
effect because of
Not
the
that those things aren't
election
important.
orange.
They are. It's a big deal, but that was not front and center in the last two elections. The last two elections were about a culture war, really, and immigration being at the center of that. So I guess we'll have to wait and see as the debate goes on. I'm sure immigration will be brought up eventually, but those were the opening statements. And everybody's opening statement was a prosperity agenda. So I thought that was interesting. But all right, it looks like we're back. Let's see how we're doing. Round two.
Abortion has been a losing issue for Republicans since the Dobbs decision. In 6 state referendums, all have upheld abortion rights in this country. And even in red states, there are more swing state referendums that are coming up as we head into the elections as well on this. So, Governor Haley, what do you say to your party and to your state, which today confirmed a 6-week abortion law
He's not
as
playing
well,
aggro.
especially the impact on women suburban voters across this country?
Thank you, Martha. I am unapologetically pro-life.
I love her hair. Her hair's
Not
so
because the
voluminous.
Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people. That's great. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available? And can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion?
No, we can't
Let's
agree.
treat this like a respectful issue that it is, and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
Yeah, it lost me about not giving women the death penalty.
Did not mention, Vice President Pence, Governor DeSantis, you signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. One
Look
of
at
your
his
biggest
face.
financial backers
Why
said
does he look
that
like
you
that?
need to, quote, shift to get moderates or you will lose. What do you say to him and others who say politically that is a tough thing to sell nationally?
Well, I would say we sold the biggest election landslide victory in the history of the Republican Party in the state of Florida in 2022. That's what I did. We can win. But second of all, look, you got to do what you think is right. I believe in a culture of life. I was proud to sign the heartbeat bill. I remember one of the most impactful moments of my life was when I heard the heartbeat of my oldest daughter in my wife's womb and then saw the sonograms of all 3 of my kids.
Oh,
What the
no.
Democrats are trying to do on this issue is wrong, to allow abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. I know a lady in Florida named Penny. She survived multiple abortion attempts. She was left discarded in a pan. Fortunately, her grandmother saved her and brought her to a different hospital. We're better than what the Democrats are selling. We are not going to allow abortion all the way up till birth, and we will hold them accountable for their extremism.
But just to be clear, Governor, would you
Good
sign
answer, but it's a little
6-week ban
weaselly.
federally?
Well, we won't allow it up till
I'm gonna
birth. It's
stand on the
like,
side of
well,
life. Look, I understand Wisconsin is going to do it different than Texas. I understand Iowa and New Hampshire are going to do different. But I will support the cause of life as governor and as
I
president.
better not have another one-man removal spill.
Hold on, Senator. Vice President Pence. You're shaking your head.
Well, look, I'm not new to this cause. After I gave my life to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I opened up the book and I read, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And see, I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life." And I knew from that moment on, the cause of life had to be my cause. And I've been a champion for life in the Congress, a champion for life as governor and as vice president. And to be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership.
Ooh,
when the Supreme
true.
Court returned this
Facts.
question to the American people, they didn't just send it to the states only. It's not a states-only issue. It's a moral issue. And I promise you, as President of the United States, the American people will have a champion for life in the Oval Office. Can't we have a minimum standard in every state in the nation that says when a baby is capable of feeling pain, an abortion cannot be allowed? A 15-week ban is an idea whose time has come. It's supported by 70% of the American people, but it's going to take unapologetic leadership that stands on
That was
principle
good.
and expresses
Traitor, but that was good.
compassion
I
for
wanna
women
okay,
in crisis
hold on.
pregnancies. I'll do that as President of the United States.
He called my name, so I want to respond to that.
Traitor, but good answer.
So first of all, I will say it is in the hands of the people, and that's where it should be. But when you're talking about a federal ban, be honest with the American people.
I am
We
being
haven't
honest.
had 45 pro-life senators in over 100 years, so no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
70% of the American people support legislation
But
to ban
70% of
abortion
the
after
Senate
a baby is
does
capable
not.
of experiencing
Damn.
pain. It's just going to take leadership.
Hold on.
70% of the Senate does not. You have to be honest with the
We have
American
to have
people.
a 15-week
All right,
limit.
let's get Governor Bergman for one minute here. But the Supreme Court did overturn Roe v. Wade, and the result of that decision was that it went back to the states. So that's where it is right now. So as I understand it, you are not in favor of a federal ban.
He's got a great
What do you say
physiognomy,
about the
great
states?
phenotype.
There's about 5 of them,
He's got
including
like
New
a
Jersey, I think,
classic
a
American
few others,
phenotype.
that allow abortion up until the time of birth, though. If you were president, would you be able to abide that?
Well, first of all, I'm a pro-life governor of a very pro-life state. And this issue is, of course, very important. But I am on the record, and I stand behind that we should not have a federal abortion ban. We should not. And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple. It's the 10th Amendment. In the Constitution,
I thought we
the
were
states
past the
created the
pocket
federal government, not the
Constitution.
other way around. It says that there were certain duties allowed to the federal government delegated to them by the states. The rest are left to the states, comma, or importantly, or to the people. We need to get back to freedom and liberty for the people in this country. And
Come
we
on.
can't have
Freedom
we can't
and
have
liberty.
Republicans
Here's
who
my
fight for
pocket
50 years
Constitution.
for this
I thought
great
we
cause,
were
and
done
then
with
return
that
it
shit.
back to the states, and then the next day they turn around and go, no, the feds should do that, because the feds are stepping into people's lives, they're stepping into people's businesses over and over. If we say that the feds should be in on this one, where do we stop? I say that we follow the Constitution, and this is returned to the states. This is where it should
But
be.
Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban. Time out. You signed a 6-week ban. Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban. So you're saying federally, it's all going to go to the states.
Yes, and what is going to work in New York will never work in North Dakota, and vice versa. That's
Governor
why 50
Asa
states.
Hutchinson,
That's why
right
50
here.
states.
This is too important of an issue that I have to address.
Israel.
First of all, the Supreme Court gave it back
He
to
doesn't
the
even look
elected
human. Look at his
representatives,
eyes.
whether it's
Look
the
at his
states
eyes.
or whether it's the United States Congress. So
Lizard
there is
Jew.
authority, and that's why President Biden is pushing for a Democrat proposal, which is in essence
This guy's a
abortion on
freak.
demand
This guy's a
through the
freak
term.
and a
So
traitor.
they have their extreme position at a national level. It's most likely going to be addressed in the states, but it's certainly fine for it to be addressed at the national level as well. Arkansas has the record of being the most pro-life state in the nation. I signed 30 pro-life pieces of legislation while I was governor. And every state can determine a different outcome here. And it is the most important issue for women and for the unborn child and for our country that we get this right. It's going to be a continued debate. Let's talk about it in terms of compassion, in terms of protecting the life, and also understanding how we have to enhance adoption services, how we have to enhance maternal care. Those things we've done in Arkansas and are important for our nation's future.
There are a lot of issues that are very important. Senator, I'll let you weigh in.
We cannot let states like California, New York, and Illinois have abortions on demand up until the day of birth. That is immoral, it is unethical, it is wrong. We must have a president of the United States who will advocate and fight for at the minimum a 15-week limit. I am 100% pro-life conservative. I have a 100% pro-life record. I got to tell you, though, we must fight for life.
7 to steal
Our
this.
Declaration of Independence says our
2 turns away.
gave us inalienable rights that include life.
Can't
That is a list. That is an issue we
blink
must
Archangel
solve.
Avison with Restoration
We can't
Angel.
leave it to Minnesota. We can't leave it to Illinois. We must solve that issue with a 15-week
Illinois,
limit at a
Minnesota,
minimum.
Illinois.
I think we're all pro-life, but what I
Is that
would
Bill
love
Cosby?
is for someone to ask Biden and Kamala Harris, are they for 38 weeks? Are they for 39 weeks? Are they for 40 weeks? Because that's what the media needs to be asking.
All right, another issue is America and the crime crisis, the homelessness crisis. American cities are
over.
in decline. People are moving out.
It's Jover.
As homelessness, drugs, crime move in. There are problems accelerated. They did accelerate during the pandemic and are still rising, actually.
Murders in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, all up 30% between 2019 and 2022. Homelessness is up 11%, the largest jump in recorded history. Vice President Pence, a lot of this began in the COVID era. How much of what we're seeing happening around this country is a result of those COVID lockdowns, and is your administration in part to blame for how we got here?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats have been talking about defunding the police for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities, at unprecedented levels. I mean, it's extraordinary to think about the violence that's claiming innocent lives literally every week in every major city in this country. And yet Democrats and liberal prosecutors in major metropolitan areas continue to work out their fanciful agendas, to do bail reform and go easy. What we need is strong commitment to law
Where's Vivek?
enforcement.
We haven't
need
heard from
leadership
Vivek
in
once
Washington,
since the
D.C.
break.
that'll marshal the resources of the states, marshal the resources
cooking
of the
too
American
much.
people. But let me also say it's about opportunity. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Trump-Pence tax cuts that we got signed into law go away at the end of 2025 if we don't have a Republican president and a Republican House and a Republican Senate.
Why is he bringing that
When
up?
I'm president of the United States, we're actually going to cut taxes further. We're going to extend those tax cuts, and we're going to close the Federal Department of Education, block grant all
What does that have to
funding
do with
back to
this?
the states with a growing economy and educational choice and law enforcement. We will bring our cities back.
Governor Christie, another issue. This weekend here in Milwaukee, reports say there were 30 shootings.
He looks like he's
and a
dying.
number
He
of
looks
them
gray.
include
You know how people look gray
add that
before
to
they're
the
about
big
to
increase
die?
in school shootings around the country.
not looking
Democrats blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation. What would President Christie do?
You know, I'm proud of the fact, Brett, that I'm the only person along with Governor Hutchinson up on this stage who's actually running United States Attorney's Office. I ran the 5th largest office in America in a state where there is significant urban crime. And the problem is not going to be solved by more money. The problem is that these prosecutors in these localities in the states are refusing to do their job and to arrest violent criminals. So what a President Christie would do is appoint an attorney general who would instruct each of the 93 U.S. attorneys that they are to take over the prosecution of violent crime in every one of those cities that are failing to do so. We have plenty of room in the federal prisons to lock up these violent criminals and clean up what's going on all across this country in these individual cities. Secondly, what we need to make sure that each and every one of these criminals understand is that the laws apply to everybody. And when Hunter Biden fills out a fake application, a false application for a gun permit, and then is facing a 10-year mandatory minimum, which was mandated by legislation sponsored by his father, and then you have a Justice Department that walks away.
There's a nice blue sun target.
People that the law doesn't apply to everybody.
Is that
in a Christie
why it's
administration, he would go to jail.
Black
for 10
people
years.
are like, Hunter Biden got away with it. I can't.
Oh yeah, this is.
right,
This went from looking really bad to looking really good.
And we know how to fix it. The question is, do we actually have the spine to do it? More cops in the streets who are on the streets able to do their jobs without looking over their shoulder for getting sued. And we also have a mental health epidemic in this country. Just over the same period that we have closed mental health institutions, we have seen a spike in violent crime. Do we have the spine to bring them back? I think we should. As president, I will.
Bring them back.
But it's not just drugging up people in those psychiatric institutions with Zoloft and Seroquel. It's a deeper issue. I think faith-based approaches can play a role here, too. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. And I say this
4-0, baby.
Generation. The problem in our country
In games.
the reason we have that mental health epidemic is that people are so hungry for purpose and meaning at a time when family, faith, patriotism, hard work have all disappeared. What we really need is a tonal reset from the top, saying that this is what it means to be an American. Yes, we will stand for the rule of law. Yes, we will close the southern border where criminals are coming in every day. And yes, we will back law enforcement because we remember who we really are. And that's also how we address that mental health epidemic in the next generation that is directly leading to violent crime across this country.
Governor DeSantis,
That's fine.
Governor DeSantis.
They didn't like that. The audience didn't like that, but that was good.
We're not looking for a new national identity. The American people are the most faith-filled, freedom-loving, idealistic, hardworking people the world has ever known. We
That
just
is
need government
so
as good as our
cringe.
people.
Well, Mike, I think the difference is you might have, some others like you may have on the stage, it's Morning in America speech. It is not Morning in America.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! That's fire, dude.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Vivek's saying the best things. He also, his voice inspires the most confidence when he talks. Like he sounds the most assured of himself, which is really just a byproduct of when you're being honest. It's way easier to sound confident and that you have conviction.
That was awesome.
Well, actually, crime's at a 50-year low in Florida. We're happy with that. Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing. these hollowed out cities, this is a symptom of America's decline. And one of the biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district attorneys. They get into office and they say they're not going to prosecute crimes they disagree with. The inmates start running the asylum. There's one guy in this entire country that's ever done anything about that. Me. When we had 2 of these district attorneys in Florida elected with Soros funding who said they wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone. And as president, we are going to go after.
If you copy a Cascade spell, do you get your own Cascade? Copy spell with Cascade. Cascade won't trigger. Yeah, it's because it's when you cast. That's what I thought. I just wanted to double check. All right.
Brett and Martha, I just thought it was interesting. You asked your question about the problems we're having in big cities.
Terra Sunder. Holy
What about the crime
shit.
wave in small towns?
That's
Because in a small
annoying.
town, neighbors help
Because
neighbors.
there's no black people.
People understand each other. If a farmer
there
gets
ain't
sick,
no
everybody
black
comes
people
together and
out
helps them get the
around
crop
these
off.
small towns.
There's
Try
accountability,
that
there's
in a small
transparency. One
town.
thing that I think this country could use is
Fella.
somebody in the White House that understands small town values, because that's our road back to get this country on track again.
I agree with this implicit white nationalist message.
As former head of the DEA, I understand the drug crisis
guy's a
in
vet.
America.
This guy is an
and right now,
alien
whenever
Jewish
you look
vet.
at the challenges in our inner city, there's 3 simple words that would be helpful. 1, enforce the law when it comes to crime.
Pull up your pants.
Secondly,
Second,
let's deal
pull
with
up
the
your
challenge
pants.
of fentanyl. And it's both
Yield of
about
the dead.
stopping the fentanyl coming from Mexico, but it's also about education of our young people, making sure that we have the tools that are needed for addiction counseling. That's what we expanded in Arkansas as well.
And no rap
Whenever
music.
You look at
Thirdly,
the
no rap
underlying
music.
challenge of America, though.
Secondly,
no one likes to
pull up
see
your
an
pants.
America with
Thirdly,
smash and grab
no rap
in our
music.
inner cities. As President of the United States, that will stop. It starts at the top with the respect for our justice system that a former president who's under indictment has undermined by attacking
Look at his
judges,
eyes.
by attacking prosecutors, by attacking the system and saying he's aggrieved. And so we have to have respect for our justice system and the rule of law, and it starts at the top with the President of the United States.
Thank you. Hold on.
Take a break. So, speaking of that, right now you are looking live at Fulton County Jail, where former President Donald Trump will be processed tomorrow. So next, the candidates will have an opportunity to talk about the coming trials of Donald Trump.
Oh, there we go. That's going to be interesting. Okay. Well, mid-game, that was kind of boring. They're really coming for Vivek. Mike Pence is really gunning for him because he's honestly kind of like the front runner. DeSantis had a strong answer on crime. They all had pretty good statements on pro-life. Mike Pence had a very solid statement on abortion. Nikki Haley, not so much. Tim Scott did okay. We didn't hear too much, though, from Vivek. It was a lot of Tim Scott, it felt like that time. Very Tim Scott heavy. That was amazing, though, and it was crazy that Mike Pence interjected and said, well, Americans are God-fearing and blah, blah. And you just realize how out of touch these people are. I love the generational clash that you have this old fucking boomer who's going to go up there and say, we need a government as good as our people. Our people. It's like, no, dude. No, we are losing the popular vote every time. That's old people. Old people are like that. Yeah, old people are still God-fearing, rootin' tootin'. Not young people. Half the young people aren't even white, and most of them aren't Christian. And that is the case the younger that you get. And that's the trend, of course. That's our elites, and that's the trend. So I love then Vivek comes in. The Morning in America was chef's kiss. That was beautiful because it's true. They are still living in the 80s. Like they're literally living in Ronald Reagan's America. It's Morning in America. And Vivek says, no, it's not. It's dark. Yes, finally someone said it. Like that was part of the initial appeal of Trump. I feel like that a lot of people don't talk about anymore, is he was the first guy, I think, ever to come out and say, like, our country is dead. He was the first guy to come out and say, look, the American dream is dead. And like things are terrible. Like it's American carnage. You remember he said that during his inaugural? American carnage. And everybody, all the media critiqued it, said, oh, it's so dark, it's so... But he was right. Everybody, especially conservatives, feel it because it's our values that are under attack. So for Vivek to say that, that was masterful. Look at this Black Rifle Coffee. Nice. They should have went out of business because they're all faggots, but whatever. Anyway, and they disavowed Kyle Rittenhouse.
Disavow YouTube.
But anyway, so that was amazing. Mike Pence jumps in. It's just outrageous that people even believe that or can say that. We need a government as good as our people. It's like our people are walking mozzarella sticks, and the rest of them are black. So we need a government as good as our people. The people, look at the people. The people are vulgar and crass. The people are walking around at Walmart with flip-flops on, and they're drinking syrup by the bottle. And that's just your white people. Forget about even the black criminals and the Hispanic immigrants and everything else. That's insane. We need a government as good as our people. And Vivek goes in, hey, listen, bitch. Hey, listen up, boomer. It's not morning in America anymore. It's twilight.
He must have some kind of sweeper or something, so this is probably
He's like
wrong.
He's on the
but
money when he says they want incremental reform. I want a revolution.
Kind of
They're gonna
felt
they're
like
gonna
I
have
had
it all.
to.
Climate change is a hoax.
So, but it's a
It's not
weird
morning in
attack.
America. This is dark. We're gonna reset. Like that was. I'm so down with Vivek. I think he's excellent. I don't like that he's not a Christian, but otherwise he's good. And addressing the identity, that was the first time I've ever heard that in a presidential debate, to say American identity and say we have an identity crisis. Faith, family, hard work are going down the tubes. That was excellent. So I think he's the winner. I'm very curious to see what the reaction will be if there's any sort of like polling that goes on. You know, sometimes they do the Frank Luntz focus group, whatever. I'm curious to see how these clips.
Avison loses vigilance too.
Considered like the viral winner of the debate.
That's
I
kind
think
of
he's doing
annoying.
very well, but I don't know how it's being received. The audience isn't receiving it very well. What's going on? This is frozen? Okay. There we go. All right, here we go. Round three. Round three. 1 hour to go.
This GOP primary debate, policy discussions. The Americans want to hear you all.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ukraine,
And it's
immigration, education. But we are going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room.
Former President Trump has
That
been
sucked.
indicted in 4 different states on 91 counts. He will be processed tomorrow in Georgia at the Fulton County Jail for charges relating to the 2020
King Trump.
election loss.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand
Wait.
if you would.
He's at 9?
Whoa!
Oh, this does damage to the opponent. Oh, I could have just killed him. Oh, what a punt. What a punt. Uh-oh. Yeah, now I'm pretty much dead, right? He attacks with both. Oh, God. I didn't realize he took 3 from the... I thought he was at 12.
That was crazy.
Someone's got
Fuck.
to
I
stop
feel bad.
normalizing this
Feels
conduct.
bad, man.
Okay? Now,
What?
And now whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath
Gay.
the office
Gay.
of President of the United
Gay.
States.
No, fuck you.
And you know, this is the great thing about
Mere
this country.
conduct.
Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Ooh.
That's kind of cack, though, that he said that.
I'd like to get in and respond.
that was
to
a
speak
troll
the truth,
move when he
okay?
goes, you can boo
President
all you
Trump,
want.
I
That was
believe
kinda
was the
funny.
best president of the 21st
I
century.
don't
Let's
like
go.
this
Base.
hand.
Chris Christie
punted my 3-0 there. Oh, that's a good draw.
If your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man.
Let's go. Let's go. Awesome.
Blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country. They could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this
Let's go.
Let me take I'm sorry. 30 seconds covered.
Pretty slow start from the OP here.
You sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer.
Cultivate.
Let's go. Let's go. Eat shit, fatty.
You sit here in an answer.
Go ahead, Governor Christie.
Hold on, Governor Christie. So listen, the more time we spend doing
Shut
this,
up,
the less
bitch.
time they can talk about issues you want to talk about. So let's just get through this section. Governor Christie.
You sit here talking about how you want to stand up for the rule of law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That is not
It's
true.
very true. I read it,
Because
and I
there's
know.
a difference
Look,
between bad behavior and illegal behavior, Chris, and you as a prosecutor should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I know a lot better.
There's a difference between bad behavior. And
I know a lot better than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said... He said,
your MSNBC contributor.
he said,
These are politicized indictments, and we have to call out the truth.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution. Now, the oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend. I will always stand up for our Constitution, regardless of the political pressure.
We have another question for you. We're going to get everyone in on this issue.
What a disgusting
I have another question. Hold on, you will. All right. So President Trump's former vice president is on this stage tonight. He has faced hecklers on the campaign trail over his actions on January the 6th. On that day, the vice president moved forward with the certification of the election.
Traitor.
So do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing, Senator Scott? Do you believe he did the right thing?
Absolutely. He did the right thing. Number one. Number two.
Another traitor.
We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll do is fire Merrick Garland. Second thing I'll do,
that's what
fire
everyone
Christopher Wray, because we need Lady Justice to wear a blindfold. Without that, no one has confidence in our justice system. 17% of Republicans have confidence in our Department of Justice. Here's why. We keep seeing not only the weaponization of the Department of Justice against political opponents, but also against parents who show up at school board meetings. They're called, under this DOJ, they're called domestic terrorists.
Firing Christopher
But that's not it. But that's not
shut down the FBI. Actually have the courage to get it right.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Yes.
Not only that, in addition to that, we see the SWAT team show up.
This guy's
at
dumb.
pro-life activist
This
homes
guy's dumb.
with guns drawn because this DOJ uses their power, uses their authority, not just against political opponents, but against conservatives and conservative causes. It is time for a change in America, and I will bring that change to the greatest nation on God's green earth.
MLK, really? Now he's MLK.
Do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
Still in it. Now we just got to win on the draw.
Weaponization mission of these federal agencies.
Right, but
and I will do that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing. This election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2025, when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all these other issues, but we've got to focus on your future. We've got to focus on reversing the decline of our country.
Right.
I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the mission above all else. You can't get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message that can win in November 2024.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice President?
Is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before. So
I want to keep this, but it's so bad if I whiff on a land twice.
Going forward, the rehashing of this, I'll tell you, the Democrats would love that.
Even if I just draw planes, it's even not that great. Oh, it might work. I don't know. I think I'll keep it. You get 2 draws.
Let me just say, Governor,
What could go wrong?
We're talking about policy. Former President Trump is beating you by 30, 40 points in many polls. So it is a factor in the GOP primary. Governor Hutchinson, you did not raise your hand.
I did not raise my hand because there's an important issue we as a party have to face. Oh my gosh. And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th. More people are understanding the importance of that, including conservative legal scholars who says he may be disqualified.
Oh, I thought this was the 2-mana. Ooh, this keep is worse than I realized. Ooh, I thought that was the Millet is whatever it's called. Get a planes for 2 mana.
And so obviously I'm not going to.
That's my bad. Probably would have mulliganed it if I had known that.
Under our Constitution, and that's consistent with RNC rules.
Wait, maybe I need to. I was going to say I need to upkeep.
Martha, can I answer the question?
Can I get in on
it? Okay, I'd like to answer.
I've already been in on it, Vice President Pence.
All right, I'd like to answer the question you asked and not give a pre-canned speech. Mike Pence stood for the Constitution, and he deserves not grudging credit. He deserves our thanks as Americans for putting his oath of office and the Constitution of the United States before personal, political, and unfair pressure. And the argument that we need to have in this party before we can move on to the issues that Ron talked about is we have to dispense with the person who said that we need to suspend the Constitution to put
I'd be in pretty okay shape if I had hit my land last turn.
Okay, Governor Haley, we have
2 rats.
Do you agree that Vice President Pence did the right thing that day or not?
I do think that Vice President Pence did the right thing, and I do think that we need to give him credit for that. But what I will also tell you is, look, I mean, when it comes to whether President Trump should serve or not, I trust the American people. Let them vote. Let them decide. But what they will tell you is that it is time for a new generational conservative leader. We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact
This guy's deck is awesome. Lands deck.
in America. We can't win a general election that way.
Terrible.
Governor Bergen.
It's Governor Bergen, opportunity.
Happy to answer the question. Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. But I would say you started off the top of this hour saying we're going to talk about China, Ukraine, education. We are. China is the #1 threat to our country, and every minute that these 8 candidates spend talking about the past instead about the future is time that is just you know who loves it? Biden loves it, but China loves it when we're talking about the past.
Okay, as promised, we were going to spend a few questions on it, let people say what they wanted to say, and now, indeed, we are moving on to the subject.
The U.S. has committed nearly 77.
Can I speak on this issue? I was kind of involved.
You answered on this.
You did
You did
say
answer.
something.
Yeah.
We thought you were done, but you
No,
please.
I wasn't done.
Well, Mike, why don't you say this? Join me in making a commitment that on day one you would pardon Donald Trump. I'm the only candidate on the stage who had the courage.
Yeah!
GG.
Excellent.
Excellent. Turn the page forward. That's exactly right.
Will be convicted of these crimes.
You should be able to make a commitment. The same justice system that was this corrupt.
Here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. Who can answer a question?
I've actually given pardons when I was governor of the state of Indiana. It usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, look, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I may, if I may, you know, it's not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017. I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand. And I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And it ended with a prayer. So help me God.
Oh my gosh.
It was a promise that I made to the American people, but I also made it.
This is
It
a
made it to my
powerful
Heavenly
moment.
Father.
This is a powerful moment.
Every day for 4 years, I saw.
Yeah, he practiced this one a few times.
Everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same if they earn this job and the confidence of the American people. Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law, and President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to, and we will make sure and extend that to him. But the American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution. And I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I had no right to overturn the election, and Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Now we are moving on to other issues. The U.S. has committed nearly $77 billion in aid to the Ukraine war. The administration is now asking Congress for $24 billion more. Regardless of that, the specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding?
Pretty good start.
We would not support it.
Europe needs to
Awesome.
step up.
So awesome.
Europe step up and do that.
Our guy.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
He's the guy, dude. He's him.
You would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
You would not support
and I think
more
we need
funding?
to do, and I think our support should be contingent on them doing it. And I would have support in China to be able to take China and do what we need to do with China.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would
That's
not
awesome.
support an increase of funding to Ukraine?
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous. That we
Awesome.
are protected
So awesome.
against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States
Yes.
of America.
Awesome.
We are driving Russia
Awesome.
further into China's hands.
Yep.
The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face. And I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on this stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington. I think that we have to put the interests of Americans first. Secure our own border instead of somebody else's. And the reality is, this is also how we project strength by making America strong at home.
All right, we heard the names. Governor
They
Christie
keep
first.
interrupting, though. That's not right.
I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people.
Oh, brother,
and let me
give
tell
me a
you,
break.
I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers, and brought back to Russia to be programmed to fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut off their ears, and shot people in the back of the head, men, and then gone into those homes and raped the daughters and the wives
This
who
is
were
just
left
atrocity
as widows
propaganda.
and orphans. This is the Vladimir Putin. This is the Vladimir Putin who Donald Trump called brilliant and a genius. If we don't stand up against this type of autocratic killing in the world, we will be next.
I love the booing. They're heckling him.
You were mentioned.
Governor Haley, we'll come back.
Vice President Pence was mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, let me be clear. Anybody that thinks that we can't solve the problems here in the United States and be the leader of the free world has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth.
Shut the fuck
We
up.
can do both. in fact. We've done both. We've been the leader of the free world, the
Pretty
actual
small
democracy
view of
for
the
years.
United
The Reagan
States.
doctrine years ago made it clear. We
Shut
said
the
if you're willing to
fuck
fight the
up.
communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the giveaway that you want to give to Putin to give him his land, it's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive Putin and the Russians back out into Russia.
I want to just
So our
briefly
troops
address
aren't gonna have
Pence.
to make that
Vice
fight.
President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR.
Oh, Pence. He's just like the epitome of boomer cringe.
You talked about the communists, and the real communists that we have to address
Do you
right
not
now
have any
is the
idea what Vladimir Putin's aims
you
are?
already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere.
He's not
of
aggressive enough.
influence.
Vice President.
Now,
Vice
if you
President
think
Pence,
I'm sorry if I insulted him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand.
He's getting
against
steamrolled.
Mr.
Authoritarianism.
Ramaswamy, 30 seconds. Respond. The real threat we face today is communist China, and we are driving Russia further into China's arms. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party is talking about it, and I am the only non-neocon on this stage. But keep us out of war.
Mr. Vice President, we can't hear. Mr. Vice President,
is to give Russia
Mr. Vice
everything
President.
they've got.
Mr. Vice President.
Give them a promise that Ukraine will never be in NATO.
They're just
and
letting
then
him.
somehow,
But Vivek is letting him.
Okay, there we
about
go.
taking Taiwan. We achieve peace through strength.
Mr. Vice
And America needs to stand for freedom.
These people are insane.
Here we go.
I think we need to reestablish some ground rules
When
here,
we
folks.
hear
Shut the fuck
this
up,
bell,
bitch.
Yes.
that means your time's done.
Counter this, can you?
So, Mr. Vice President, we appreciate your aggressiveness here. 30 seconds is 30 seconds. Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the reality is,
Be so sad if he counters this.
Ukraine is
Now
not
they're
a
booing?
priority for the United States of America. And I think that the same people who took us into
This
the
is
Iraq War,
insane.
the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot end it. You cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders, protect the homeland.
All right.
That will be my top priority in foreign
I
policy.
think we gave you
protect
more
this
than the 30
homeland.
seconds in the rebut. So I do want to get to
Oh,
some
really,
other people
bitch?
because everybody, we respect everybody's time here. So, Governor Haley.
Vivek's not
you
handling
did
that
not
well,
raise your
though.
hand,
He's not
meaning
strong
that you
enough.
Would support
That's the thing with
more
these guys. They're
funding
like
for the
smart and
Ukraine
they're quick
war.
and clever,
You
but
have,
they're not
said
fighters.
of Governor DeSantis that
They don't know how to
you
take a
didn't
hit or
appreciate
punch
it when
back.
He initially called it a territorial dispute.
It was a good answer,
Why?
but he got steamrolled.
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is
You get a new,
hand Ukraine to Russia.
because this stops being an orc army, so he basically used this to target a deal with a 1-1, basically.
The backs of your friends, Ukraine is the front line of defense.
See.
Putin has said,
Insane.
if Russia,
Neocons
once
are
Russia takes
insane.
Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
First of all,
Absolutely
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30
insane.
seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
you know,
Governor
Nikki,
DeSantis,
I wish you
your
well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not
Let's
on the
go.
boards
Fact of the
Lockheed
matter,
and Raytheon, and you know, you
Boeing
have
came
put
off of it,
down
but you've been pushing
everybody
this
on
lie.
stage,
You've been pushing
but
this
you
lie
want-
all week,
You want
Nikki.
to go and defund Israel? You want to
Okay,
give
let me
Taiwan
address
to
that. I'm
China?
glad you brought that up.
Go and give
I'm going to
Ukraine
address
Russia?
each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional.
Indians. They're two Indians fighting.
You're watching
So the reality is-
America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The
It
foreign
shows.
policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel
He's getting cooked.
will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship. And you know what friends do?
Oh my gosh.
Friends help each other stand on their own 2 feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage.
Oh, great.
You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies. I love that they have a national identity and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles
you wanna
me
cut the
is,
aid
no, I want to
off.
learn
And
from
let me
those and
tell
apply
you,
those to protect
it's
our
not
homeland,
that
Nikki.
Israel
That is
needs
the answer.
America. America needs Israel.
Okay,
They
Governor
are
DeSantis,
What?
Governor DeSantis, you were mentioning
That's
the territorial
crazy.
dispute. Not only
No, it's not a territorial dispute
President
either.
of the United States, your first obligation
Lol.
is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people
We can
who
do
are
both
being
at the
killed
same
because, well, we're not
time.
handling both. And so I am going to declare it a national emergency. I'm
Look at
I'm
her.
not gonna
She's a
send troops
freak,
to Ukraine,
dude.
but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are
Okay,
bringing
base.
fentanyl across the border, that's going to be
DeSantis
the last
dub
thing
on this
they
one.
do. We're going to use force, and we're going to leave them stone cold dead.
we're actually going to move on to
Wow.
China.
That
We're
was
gonna talk about
crazy.
China.
Okay.
Governor Burgum.
A weekly update show with news clips as homage to Orm. Like do like my own version of Weekend Update.
In coming years, China will have.
I have thought about it. I'm not gonna like. I've had that idea has sort of occurred to me.
Accused of spying for China within our military.
But
So the question is, how would you deter
to do
China?
it, you kind of need like a desk and a suit and stuff. You know, I mean, theoretically, I could acquire those things.
Letting Russia win in the Ukraine is like a gimme as opposed to a gift to China. Russia has become China's gas station. But how would we do it? The Biden administration is a complete fail. China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day, more than any other country in the world. They do not even have all the food they need to feed everybody in that country, so they don't have energy security or food security. But the Biden administration sends Blinken, Yellen over there. They're over there talking. They don't even bring up energy because they're too busy trying to kill the U.S. energy here. And what we need to do is not meetings, not press releases, because something that would send a lot more than a press release is actually
Oh, just one.
We need anti-ship missiles on Taiwan. The way that you have a war never start, which is the goal, the way you
One
have peace through
off
strength is that you actually have
Weekend
strength. You actually
Update.
have deterrence. And what we have in what we've got going on in Ukraine is an example of
Yeah.
when deterrence fail. What is an example there of Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan? The fact that he greenlighted Putin.
No, the new set's not out yet, but I think it'll be in like another week or two.
And we have to be strong, and we have to be strong both in Ukraine, and we can solve the southern border. Absolutely, we can do that. Because guess what? There's only 19,855 authorized people for the Border Patrol. But they're not all staff because the Biden administration doesn't enforce law enforcement. But Biden administration wanted to put 87,000 people in the IRS as opposed to giving the money and the support we need to our own Border Patrol.
Okay. Senator Scott on China, that same question.
Can I speak about China?
Let's fire the 87,000 IRS agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents. I just left Yuma, Arizona about 2 weeks ago. The most pressing need of the American people from a national security standpoint is our southern border. It has led to the death of 70,000 Americans because of fentanyl.
Sick.
Plus 6
That
million
means Gandalf
illegal
resolves.
crossings since President Biden has taken
6 million?
office, and 200 people on our national security watch list have been caught at our border. How many have not been caught at our southern border? If we just spend $10 billion, we could finish the wall. For $5 billion more, we could have the military-grade technology to surveil our southern border to stop the flow of fentanyl and save 70,000 Americans a year. That should be the priority of this government. And as the next president of the United States, I will make that border wall complete.
There are many more questions on China. I do want to ask about.
I want to say I couldn't agree more. It's not just the 70,000 from fentanyl. We've lost 200,000 people to overdoses since Biden took office. That's 300 people a day. We're taking mass casualties, and that's a statistic, but these are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews that we're losing. We've got North Dakota troops down there flying night helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop these transnational criminal organizations. They've got better funding on their side than we've got on our side.
Speaking of which, Governor Hutchinson, images from earlier this month, Governor Hutchinson,
with Mexico,
Vice President Pence,
policy.
images from earlier this month. Vice President Pence, it really doesn't help. I'm asking a question. Earlier this month, images showed suspected cartel members crossing into Texas with rifles. Do you consider this an invasion? Would you authorize lethal force along that border?
There would be lethal force used by the Border Patrol, law enforcement as needed to protect the border. Absolutely. When you look at the military has to be used for intelligence gathering purposes. This is not unusual. Whenever I was in the Bush administration, we went down there and met with President Vicente Fox of Mexico and asked his help in going after the cartels. And he looked at me and said, they're a problem to us as well. And so we joined together and we took down the Ariana Felix brothers leading the Tijuana cartel, and that made a difference. Ramon was shot and killed, and Ben Amin was captured. Cooperation makes a difference. We cannot be successful going against the cartel unless we bring in Mexico as a partner. We have to use economic pressure to accomplish that. President Obrador has not been helpful, and we have to use economic pressure that this administration is not using. The rule of law has to matter on both sides of it.
Okay.
This is critical. I've done it. We know what needs to be done. The military has to be limited in its use. When after 9/11, we had the global war on terror.
Who cares? This
and
guy's
guess
not
what?
even going to
We
win.
protected the border at the same time. You can do both.
Okay, let's go to Governor DeSantis. So, as president, would you support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to take out fentanyl labs, to take out drug cartel operations? Would you support that kind of American military use?
Yes, and I will do it on day one. Here's the thing. The cartels are killing tens of thousands of our fellow citizens. You want to talk about a country in decline? You have the cartels controlling a lot of part of your southern border. We have to reestablish the rule of law, and we have to defend our people. The President of the United States has got to use all available powers as Commander-in-Chief to protect our country and to protect the people. So when they're coming across, yes, we're going to use lethal force. Yes, we reserve the right to operate. How many more tens of thousands are we going to let to die? I am sick. I've met angel moms throughout this country. I met a lady in Texas named Tracy, and her son took one Percocet that was laced with fentanyl, immediately died. That is happening all across this country because of the poison that they are
love how he kind of
bringing in.
talks like
So
an
as
Italian. Like, he
president,
kind of
would I
reminds me
use
of my
force?
mom.
Would I treat them as foreign terrorist organizations? You're darn right I would.
You know, Vice President Pence, why would you be better at this issue than Governor DeSantis? Governor DeSantis on the campaign trail refers to your administration as not finishing the wall.
Right. Look, we secured the southern border of the United States of America and reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%. When Joe Biden took over, he threw open the southern border of the United States, and the wave of humanity, the wave of fentanyl that's been eloquently described here is a wave of human
I didn't hit a land.
You began this evening talking about
that
who
was
is
not
best
supposed to
prepared to be the
happen.
next president of the United States. And I have to tell you, with all humility, I was there when we negotiated through the government shutdown and got the funding available to build the wall. I was negotiating on Capitol Hill around the clock. I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy on behalf of the President of the United States. And AC, you're so right. It's because we used economic pressure to bring the Mexicans to the table, and they allowed us to have people wait in Mexico while they applied for asylum and ended asylum abuse overnight. We got the Mexicans to deploy their National Guard to their southern border and to our southern border as never before. And I want to promise you, as President of the United States of America, I will engage Mexico the exact same way, and we will partner with the Mexican military, and we will hunt down and destroy the cartels that are claiming lives in the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. Another issue that is related to this is that almost 7
My
million
reaction to that
migrants have crossed this border, our southern border, during the Biden administration. So Governor Christie,
That should have been a 3-0 Lord of the Rings deck, but the guy who beat me, he got so lucky. He doesn't even know.
The first thing we need to do is to stop any more from coming. That's the first thing we need to do. Then the next thing we need to do with the folks that are here is to, again, as we've talked about all night tonight, we have to have law and order in this country. We have to enforce the law. And what that means is to make sure that people who come here illegally
What
What was that?
Dude, that was like a jump
wonderful
scare.
people from around the world.
Was
who
that
are
on
waiting
their end
in
or my
line,
end?
following the law to try to come here and pursue the American dream. And those people are waiting and waiting and waiting because we haven't dealt with the problem of the folks who are here.
Yeah, the problem, Indy Woods, is I'm not that great at writing jokes, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
For having broken the law. And one last thing on this fentanyl issue.
Did you hear that? That
With
was
China,
like, dude, that
we
was
can't take
that,
our
that
eye
was a
off of
jump
that
scare.
ball. Yes,
I
it's
just
important
mute this
that
for
we
a sec.
secure the border. Very important.
And that's kind of like I've tried to do when I do Women is Wonderful or Women Are Wonderful or like those kinds of videos where it's hitting a bunch of news. I always want it to be like I end on some funny quip and then go on to the next story, like some like Norm Macdonald-esque quip, but I'm just not that good at actually coming up with stuff. But maybe if I pick the stories based off of my ability to make a joke about them, maybe it would go a bit better.
Care about. Next up, we're going to talk about the crisis in education, as millions
That's
of
right. I need a
American
writer's
children
room.
are not proficient in reading or math. After this.
All right, this sucks now. I'm bored. Look, none of these people are going to be president.
Yeah, I don't really care about any of these people.
All neocons. That
Vivek was number 1 and DeSantis was number 2, which is
that was the most fired
lines
up
up
any of them
exactly
were.
how you would
Haley
expect
was
based off the polling,
PMSing
right?
about Ukraine going insane. Same thing with Mike Pence. Honestly, that was a really bad moment for Vivek. He just got his ass kicked. You know, that would never happen to Trump. He just backed down. He just doesn't understand how to fight. Like, when people are attacking him, he's looking at them. And he's, like, waiting for them to finish. You can't do that. And also, Nikki Haley was steamrolling him, too, because she saw that he was weak. This stuff is very subconscious. Like, right out of the gate, Vivek was getting interrupted, and he kind of let people interrupt him. He was, like, smiling while they were doing it and looking at them and waiting for them to finish. And then everybody picked up on, oh, we can interrupt him. Like, oh, he's weak. He'll take it.
I don't think you're supposed to take Bastion of Remembrance here, but I'm going to take it. Try to build the sacrifice deck.
And they totally talked over him. and she tore him a new asshole, and then the crowd was screaming, and he was talking, but the crowd was yelling over him. Not good. Not good. L stage presence. L stage presence. L execution.
It's not that as many people watching on Rumble. What, 307,000 people. It's not that impressive when it's exclusive.
Person, hostile.
Guess it'd be a lot more if Trump was there. All right.
That
so
said, I mean, he's doing the best out of anybody. He's got the
Gutter
best.
Bones and Valky and Fiend Artisan.
Substance has been flawless. The content of what he's saying has been flawless.
I think you're supposed to take
better than
Valky.
expected and way ahead of everybody else on the stage by far, obviously. He's the only good thing on the stage. But he's getting his lunch eaten by these other people. Those were not strong moments. Those were very weak. And his suit doesn't quite fit. Every time he gestures, his suit is
Goldspan
like,
and Dragon Master.
you know, it's not,
Also
it's not on
burned
his
down
shirt
the
properly.
house.
So the suit, he's a billionaire. He should be able to get a suit that fits right. But that's nitpicking, I suppose. He's been doing pretty good. Everybody else, though, is just like a nightmare. This is what we would have if it wasn't for Trump. This is what we would be left with if Trump was out of the picture, in jail, doesn't run. And this is what it'll be in the future. Like, imagine if there's no Trump and there's no Vivek. That's 2028. That's 2032. That's what we got. So, pretty depressing situation. But, yeah, I'm just running out of steam. I'm getting bored. Like, I don't want to hear Doug Burgum. He's not going to win. No one even knows who he is. Same thing with Asa Hutchinson. It's like, why are we entertaining all that? They should have just had, like, 6 candidates. It really should not have been those other 2. It should have been those 6 guys, nobody else. And even still, the whole thing is just ridiculous when you consider that Trump's not even there. Like, what a clown show that Trump is leading by 40 points, presumptive nominee. He's not even in attendance. So the whole thing is just silly. But I'm just doing it because it's content. We'll probably react to the Trump interview tomorrow. Maybe I'll stream the Trump interview in lieu of a show tomorrow night. But it looks like we're back. We got like 25 minutes left. I just want this thing to be over. I'm ready.
Report card was the weakest ever for American school
How
children.
long is the Trump interview?
Exposing
I'm going to
chronic
check.
Absenteeism, deep declines for reading and math for 15-year-olds and 13-year-olds. Governor DeSantis, you would eliminate, you said, the Department of Education. But as president, would you still have a responsibility
46
to
minutes.
fix this crisis?
80 million views on Twitter.
The decline in education is one of the major reasons why our country is in decline. We need education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. And in Florida, we stood up for what was right. First, we had schools open during COVID, and a lot of the problems that we've seen are because these lockdown states lock their kids out of school for a year, year and a half. That was wrong. We stood up. I took a lot of fire for that. I was pilloried by the media, but I stood for our kids. And as president, I'll stand for you and your kids as well. But we have to make sure that what our schools are doing is focusing on solid academics. In Florida, we eliminated critical race theory from our K-12 schools. We eliminated gender ideology from our K-12 schools. And we have elevated the importance of American civics in teaching our kids about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. As president, I'm going to lead an effort to increase civic understanding and knowledge of our Constitution. We cannannot be graduating students that don't have any foundation in what it means to be an American.
Mr. Ramaswamy, hold on, Senator Scott. You've said that the Department of Education, the FBI, the ATF, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the IRS, the Department of Commerce, many of these should not exist.
That's correct.
So to the education question, how would you deal with the crisis?
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school.
No.
End the teachers' unions at the local level to allow public schools to compete. And then revive our national identity where every high school senior should have to pass the same civics test that, frankly, every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass
Blade
in
of
order
the
to become a
Oni
citizen of this
or
country.
Kaya?
And the fact of the matter is, look, there's a part of education policy that also rests with the family. I didn't grow up in money, but you know the word privilege gets used a lot? Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness. And I think that goes hand in glove with the education crisis as well, because we have to remember education starts with the family, and the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind.
That was good. That was a good answer.
I don't really like the expression nuclear family anymore. I don't like making a distinction between your children and like your parents. But
you said that even though you signed a ban,
I get most people aren't on that level.
that there hadn't been one instance where it was actually needed. Are you saying that you think that too much is made of this issue?
No, I'm saying in North Dakota, we made a priority of protecting women's sports, and we've done that in our state. But I would absolutely do that. But I do think when we start talking about education and we think that we're going to have a federal government one-size-fits-all, we're just completely losing track of the fact that education differs by state. Some school districts are doing a fantastic job, some less so. But the idea that every school district, state, and every teacher is somehow indoctrinating people is just false. You know, when I was building a company from scratch, you know, with small town kids, and we went, you know, grew up in a town of 300, but we built a global company in 132 countries with over 100,000 customers. We listened to those customers. We spent time with them. We talked to them.
Glory Burner's pretty good.
Education is one of the biggest part of the state budget. So as a governor, I shadow a student. I don't, the night before I find out the student finds out, I'm going to go to every class with them. I don't sit and lecture school districts how to do it. I go and see the experience. And there's a lot of things that have to change. But what needs to change in education is innovation. We're doing it the same way we did it 50 years ago with innovation, not regulation. I would get rid of the Department of Education. I would give block grants to schools, but I'd give them on merit based on who's doing the most innovative. I just got done holding the 7th annual Governor's Conference on Innovation Education. You should see what the people are doing when you cut loose the red tape, get the burden off their back.
Today, Wednesday.
They care. Teachers in this country, the vast majority of them care about those kids. They're working in low-paying jobs, and they're fighting for those kids and their families.
Governor Haley, you said that this was the women's issue.
It's kind of frustrating listening to this because you just like.
As a parent, the one thing you want is for your
I mean, they're not only are they not going to win, but if they did win, they wouldn't like execute any of these plans they're talking about. You know what I mean? It's just always business as usual.
Can't read by 3rd grade. They're 4 times less likely to graduate high school. So we need to make sure we bring in reading remediation all over this country. We need transparency in the classroom because parents should never have to wonder what's being said or taught to their children in the classroom. Parents need to be deciding which schools their kids go to because they know best. And let's put vocational classes back into the high schools. Let's teach our kids to build things again. When we do that and we allow that innovation, that's when it'll get back. And yes, I will always say I'm going to fight for girls.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, we're going to go in there and fix the education system and fix it all right up. And everybody's like clapping and cheering. And it's frustrating because, you know, none of this shit is actually going to happen.
And the first question is going to go to you, Vice President. So this is a lightning round of questions, 30-second answers, please. President Biden will be 82 years old on Inauguration Day. Nearly 70% of Americans say that he is too old to serve. Should presidents have to pass a mental and physical test in order to serve, Vice President Pence?
Well, it might be a good idea to have everybody in Washington, D.C. pass a mental and...
Shut up.
Yeah, Andy, I get it. It's, you know, it's one of those kind of like boomer buzzwords. I mean, it's not, you know, I'm not anti-nuclear family. I'm just really pro-extended family is all.
I I was fighting against No Child Left Behind, when Republicans were doubling the Department of Education, I'll also shut down the Federal Department of Education. And when I was governor, we doubled the size of the largest school choice program in America, and we'll give school choice to every family in America when I'm in the White House.
This is a lightning round, Mr. Ramaswamy. I think you were mentioned there. You're 38. You're the youngest on the stage. You've said, and you just said, you want a civics test or public service for those under 25 to be able to vote. So the question is, do you want a mental acuity test for presidents over 75?
I believe in the people of this country to tell the difference between somebody who's an automaton and somebody who's actually a thinking agent in the White House, which we don't have in there today. And I will tell you, I want to address Vice President Pence.
Yeah, you shouldn't need a test to stop retards from becoming president. That's a pretty fair point.
Go into the south side of Chicago, to Kensington, in the middle of Philadelphia, where traditional Republican candidates don't go. We have an opportunity to build a multi-ethnic, working-class majority to deliver a
cringe.
And I think I'm the only candidate in this race, young or old, black or white, to bring all of those voters along to deliver a Reagan 1980 revolution. We're going to do it in 2024.
Same question to you, Governor.
In a presidential election until 20.
I will answer that. I will answer that. 30 second quick answer.
You guys need to get control of this debate.
Everybody's going to get Listen, we're getting control of the debate. This is a lightning round, not rolling thunder. Governor Hutchinson, you have 30 seconds on the same question.
On education, first of all, look at Arkansas. We have to compete with China. I built computer science education. We led the nation in computer science education, going from 1,100 students to 23,000 students taking it. This is how you compete with China. As President of the United States, I will make sure we go from 51% of our schools offering computer science to every school in rural areas and urban areas offering computer science for the benefit
help me
of
with
our
my
kids.
computer homework. I can't help you with that computer
Oh,
homework.
no, it did. Deadly Dispute. Yeah, this is. I was
I don't
hoping this would
believe that. I
table.
don't think they are number one.
I wouldn't hate having Archpriest, but
Senator Scott,
take
faith
the
is
Deadly Dispute.
Probably
country. You
like
talked about it a
Massachusetts
little bit
would be
before
number
tonight.
one.
Okay.
So is there a role
Zacchaeus,
for a president of the United States in changing that? What would you do to change that?
Our nation was founded upon the Judeo-Christian values that has made this the greatest nation on God's green earth. I'm a big believer
That's
in
right, Shaman just
Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to
kinda
do
sucks when
exceedingly
you don't have
abundantly
fetch
above all that we
lands.
ask or imagine. Our responsibility should be to model the behavior we want others
Probably
to
take
follow.
Zacchaeus here.
On education. The only way we change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions. They are standing
Greedy thing I got going on though here. Four color Rakdos sacrifice.
and locking them out of the greatest future they could have.
As President, Governor DeSantis, would you support some mandatory military service for all Americans?
I think it should be voluntary. I'm somebody
We
that
could cut
volunteered to
green.
serve, inspired by September 11th.
I think I would cut
and
the
I
green
deployed
over
to
the
Iraq,
white.
Alongside U.S. Navy SEALs in places like Fallujah, Ramadi. And it's something that I think has taught me, you know, when you go in that type of
Invasion,
environment,
Braid,
anything you
Judith,
have, your personal
Rankle.
agenda, you check it at the door. You go there, and it's about focusing on
This
the
one's good,
mission
too.
above all else. And guys come together, and they get it done. And that's how I would view being the president of the United States.
I have a
It's not
soft
about
spot
me.
for
It's not
Judas.
about all these other side issues. My sole focus will be on your future and reversing this country's decline.
Okay, now for something a little out of this world, and this is for you, Governor Christie. Do you believe that the recent spike in
Just take the
UFO
thirst
encounters?
here.
I get the UFO question?
Yeah, you do.
Come on,
There
man.
you go. No, but okay, we've been hearing a lot of testimony in Congress, and people are taking this a lot more seriously. And we're hearing that, you know, there are things going on that people aren't aware of. So, if you were president, Governor Christie, would you level with the American people about what the government knows about these possible
Look,
encounters?
Martha, and especially coming from a woman from New Jersey,
Not sure
it's
Robber's
horrible
that
just
great.
because I'm from New
I'm gonna
Jersey,
just
you
take the
asked me
Goblet
about
Shrine,
unidentified
actually.
flying objects and Martians. We're different, but we're not that different. Look, of course, the job of the President of the United States is to level with the American people about everything. The job of the President of the United States is to stand for truth. The job of the President of the United States is to be a role model for our children and our grandchildren. And so whether it was UFOs or this problem of education, and Tim's right, by the way, and I started this in 2010 by going right after the teachers' unions in New Jersey and drove them down to an all-time low popularity rating because they were putting themselves before our kids.
Oh man, Lewis and Morbid
threat to our country,
Opportunist
not UFOs.
and Methodist Enthusiasm.
Coming up, we've got closing arguments. Plus, right after the debate, Hannity is live from the spin room right here in the Fiserv.
Zol's conscript's not bad either.
That was terrible. I'm done, dude. I'm tapped out. Let's just wrap this up. Are they really doing another break? I don't even have anything to say. Once the debate is over, I'm going to read the super chats and then that's it. I said the other night that I would do, like, maybe I'd do another monologue about the debate, but there's nothing to say. This whole thing sucked. None of these people are going to win. So that's really all there is to say about it. So we'll wrap up the debate. I'll read the super chats. We'll call it. Tomorrow I'll be streaming the arraignment of Trump. Trump will be arraigned. I believe it'll be televised. So I'll be live streaming that on Cozy and on Rumble. Make sure to follow me. If you haven't already, do it before the debate ends. Follow me here on Cozy, cozy.tv/Nick. Follow me on Rumble, rumble.com/Nick J. Fuentes. We're going to finish the debate. I'm just telling you while you're all still here. Follow me on all platforms. And I'll be back tomorrow live streaming the arraignment. And I will be doing the Trump-Tucker interview as well. I'll do that tomorrow. So that's our game plan for tomorrow. Arraignment and interview. I'll probably do the interview tomorrow at like 9. Okay? But yeah, this whole debate was just a total flop. Total joke. And like I said, it just goes to show this is our future after Trump. All these like psycho neocons like Nikki Haley, Mike Pence. These people are delusional. And I'm so sick of this like Judeo-Christian greatest country on God's green earth. We need a government as good as our people. Like I'm over that. We're done with that kind of thing. And here's why. 1, it's not Judeo-Christian, it's Christian. 2, America's no longer the greatest country in the world. Newsflash. 3, we have problems, okay? Our people have problems. The country has problems. This like constant, we're the greatest country, we could do both, we're the best, you have a pretty small opinion of America. That was the worst moment, is when Mike Pence said, if you think we can't defend our border and fight in Ukraine, you have a pretty small opinion of America. It's like that kind of bravado is it's just ignorant now. You know, we did that already. We did that 20 years ago when we went into Iraq. And we said, you know, we could do everything. And like, look at our country now. Our country's it's a mess. It's a total shithole. If you think we can't do both, you must have... We can't. We aren't. We're not doing any of it right. We're not winning this war. We didn't win in Iraq. We didn't win in Afghanistan. The border's open. We can't do either. Forget about both. We can't do either. You must have a pretty small opinion of America. As if, like, there's any shame in being strategic. That's just, like, total propaganda from the Bush years, from the neocons. Total hubris and just, like, painfully ignorant. And all the rest of it is just the same, you know. And this stuff about the Constitution, the guy pulling out the pocket Constitution. This is what the opposition looks like. This is the opposition. Pocket Constitution. He said he would suspend the Constitution. Good. It's our turn to suspend the Constitution. They suspended it. Now it's our turn. The election was stolen. Nobody even talks about that. It's just crazy. That's why it's so important Trump gets back in, because otherwise there's no opposition. If Trump doesn't win, this is the GOP, and they will not oppose the system anymore. Black Rifle, this is the shit that we're gonna get. This is what you have left. Birch Gold, Black Rifle Coffee, Rumble. Rumble's okay. The song, the Oliver Anthony Rich Men North of Richmond song. Living in a new world. I've been singing that for the last 2 weeks. Living in a new world. Like that's what's left. If there's no Trump, we just get this ridiculous boomer hillbilly shit, this Ronald Reagan. Even Vivek had a terrible answer this time when he said, well, I'm a young guy. I'm going to bring together a multi-ethnic working class Reagan-style victory. No, you're fucking not.
The sun
Living
sets
in a
City Valley,
new
California. We'll see
world.
there next month when our colleagues at Fox Business host the next 2024 showdown.
Fox Business is partnering with Univision, the Reagan Foundation, and Rumble to bring you the second Republican presidential debate on September 27th. It looks pretty nice there. 20 years ago, 70% of American adults said they were extremely proud to be an American. That number has now
Living
plummeted
in a
to just
new
39%.
world.
In his pitch to get to the Oval Office, President Reagan called America the shining city on a hill, a beacon of hope and optimism.
So in your closing statement tonight, please tell American voters why you are the person
All we get is
who
this
can
Reagan
inspire this
crap.
nation to a
Ronald
better
Reagan
day. These
said-
are
Ronald
45
Reagan said Ronald
seconds,
Reagan is
and we
dead.
begin with Governor Burgum.
I understand why America's hurting.
Living in a new world.
I grew up in a small town. My dad died when I was freshman in high school.
What?
My mom, widow of 3, went back to work. Every job I had
Time for a
growing up
closing statement.
was
My
one where I
dad
took a
died.
shower at the end of the day, not at the beginning of the day. Our cities are less safe because of the fentanyl pouring into this country. Our economy is being crushed by Biden's energy policies, which are raising the cost of every product you buy, not just the gasoline at the pump. One thing that I'll do as president, I'll secure the border.
You
I'll
will
get this
never be
economy
president.
sprinting, not crawling like it is right now. And I would say that other thing is for sure, when I'm on a horseback in the Badlands of North Dakota, it looks like the horizon is just limitless. And when you
Annoying.
can almost see beyond that horizon, you can see that this great country,
So
our
bad.
future is
What-
unlimited. But we've
no.
got to focus on
When I'm on a
innovation, not
horse,
regulation. We've
and
got to
it
cut
looks
the red
like
tape.
the
We've got to
sky-
drive ourselves forward. The way we win the Cold War with
Okay,
China
no
is by
creatures,
growing
no
our economy
barking.
through innovation.
Now this has
And
to just
as president,
resolve.
I will bring out the best of America. I will improve every
Make
American
it stop.
life.
Make it
Governor
stop.
Hutchinson.
Back on your horse soon, Governor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Governor Hutchinson?
And back home.
Our nation is in trouble, and it's in trouble because of failed leadership. And the solution is not 4 more years of Joseph Biden. The solution is not 4 more years of Donald Trump. The solution is new leadership that can bring bold ideas to America and to
Like
bring
what,
out the best
Israel?
of America. A president's #1 responsibility is to bring out the best of our people. That's what Ronald Reagan did.
Oh, my
and he
gosh,
did it with optimism and hope for our country
Stop.
with consistent conservatism. That's exactly
Stop.
what I bring.
Consistent
President bring out
conservatism. Shut
the best
the
of
fuck
America
up.
in terms of
Shut the fuck
individual
up. Okay,
responsibility,
shut the fuck
building
up.
our economy, in terms of
Consistent
securing our border,
conservatism.
enforcing
Really?
the rule of
Who
law.
came up with that?
I'll bring out the best of America in terms
Ronald
of our national
Reagan.
character, our faith, and our hope for the
Ronald
future.
Reagan,
Join in
consistent
this fight.
conservatism.
ASA2024.com.
Living
Thank you,
in
Senator
a new world.
Thank you.
With an
I was a
old
disillusioned
soul.
young man growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty.
It's the same thing where I was like,
You're black. We get it. You're black.
And say the dream is a lie.
Bro said I was
It is
poor and
wrong.
had no
why
daddy.
didn't he
Yeah,
just
we know.
flashback
You're
Lingering
black.
Souls?
You can't read.
Oh no, I forgot about that part.
I ain't got no
I
daddy.
forgot about that
I'm
part.
like this. I
Oh
ain't
shit,
got no
I should have
daddy, and I
deadly
was poor.
disputed. Wow, that was really bad.
Commit a violent
We
crime,
know.
You go to jail.
Lost my will. I don't really have any more answers to Elish Norn, so it doesn't really matter.
F you.
I'm Tim Scott. I'm asking you for your vote, and if you're in Iowa, I'm asking you to caucus for me. You can go to votetimscott.com for more information or to make a contribution.
Just want to see what I would have drawn.
No.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Martha. Look, everybody
all
on this
hate you.
stage wants to be the next president of the United States. And the only way that's going to happen is if we beat Joe Biden. I'm the only one on this stage who's ever beaten a Democratic incumbent in an election. I did it in a deep blue state, being outspent 3-1. Beating a Democratic incumbent is
Just
not
had a
easy. The last Democratic incumbent president who was defeated was
perfect
Jimmy Carter.
removal for
And he was
everything.
defeated
Couldn't
by
get my
conservative
engines
governor
going.
from a blue state who knew how to get results.
Just like you.
Who stood for the truth, who cared about accountability, and stood strong and hard against waste.
You're just like Reagan.
Those are the very things that I did in my 8 years as governor of New Jersey, and it's exactly what I'll do as president of the United States. Believe me, the Democrats want some other nominee who's never beaten a Democratic incumbent. I'm the one who can win this race, and if you give me the chance, I will restore our country by winning it.
Thank you. Governor Haley.
Several weeks ago, I dropped my husband, Michael, a combat veteran from Afghanistan, off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment. I watched him and 230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they had never been, all in the name of protecting America. If they are willing to protect us from there,
Must have a
we
cut
should
down.
be willing to fight for America here. I will beat Joe Biden, and he knows that. I will strengthen our economy, and we'll bring this inflation down. We will put transparency in the classroom. We will secure our borders. We will have the backs of our
Transparency
law
in
enforcement.
the classroom?
And we will make sure we have a strong national security. And once again, we will make sure we have an America that is strong and proud. We have a country to save.
White pride.
Join us. Go to Nikki Haley.
But not white pride,
and
right?
Let's get it done.
Vice President Pence.
Still would, though. Would. This
Thank you, Brad
idiot.
and Martha, for this evening. It's an honor to be here. Joe Biden
I hate
has
this guy
weakened
so much.
America at home and abroad. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, their war on energy, runaway spending that launched the worst inflation in 40 years, a crisis at our southern border, an assault on our values and liberties, and the American people have had enough. But I know we can bring it back. But different times call for different leadership. The Republican Party owes the American people a choice.
He's an actor. This guy's an
Proven
actor.
leadership
Proven
at the
leadership.
national level
That's
that
the
knows how to
slogan.
move a conservative
Proven
agenda
conservative
forward.
record.
We've proven in the
Proven
Trump-Pence years
leadership.
you can turn this country around faster than you can imagine. And I have faith we will again. Because I have faith in the American people. The good, decent,
guy gotta kill every creature.
idealistic people of this country. And I have faith
Well, it's
that
just
God
a
is not done
2-2.
with America yet. And if we will renew our faith in one another and renew our faith in Him who has ever guided this nation since we arrived on these wilderness shores, I know the best days for the greatest nation on earth are yet to come.
Thank you. Mr.
Yeah,
Ramaswamy.
I don't think so.
I was born in 1985, and I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity.
There's definitely not enough black sources in this deck.
All of the ways we are really
We
just
forgot
the same
white
as
nationalism.
Americans, bound by a common set of ideas.
We forgot
that set
white
this nation
nationalism.
into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity.
Oil and gas
Reverse
lobby.
racism
Oil and
is
gas lobby.
racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches
No.
of government,
We need Marxism.
not 4. And the
We need
U.S.
socialism.
Constitution, it is the
That's a
strongest
joke, by the way.
guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. Thanks for letting me introduce myself tonight. Thank you.
Governor DeSantis.
That was pretty good.
Brave time.
Look at the, what the heck?
Governor?
This is our time for choosing.
What?
We will send Joe Biden back to his
Oh,
basement
another
and
Reagan
we will
reference.
reverse the decline of this country. I'm a blue-collar kid. I worked minimum wage jobs to be able to make ends meet. I understand the importance
A
of the
time for
American
choosing,
dream, and I
seriously?
know how that slipped away from so many millions of Americans. We'll restore it. I'm a veteran who served in Iraq. I know what it
Oh, you're
means to
gay?
put service above self. I'm also a dad and a husband to 6'5" and 3-year-old. I understand
You're
the importance
6'5"?
of protecting parents' rights and the well-being of our children. In Florida, we showed it could be done. I made promises and I delivered on all of those promises. 2024 is make or break. We're not getting a mulligan, no excuses. I will get the job done, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you all.
What the heck?
Well, we want to say thank you. Thank you, John.
Finishes.
It's on the stage tonight, and thank you.
And
to
then that
Milwaukee.
toothy grin.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you on the
Okay.
campaign trail from debates to primaries to
6'5".
the general.
Someone says 6'5" 3-year-old. I'm a father to a 6'5" 3-year-old. Did he say he has a 3-year-old that's 6'5"? Maybe we should vote for him. 6'5" 3-year-old. Oh, that's funny. A 6'5" 3-year-old. That's crazy. That debate was terrible. Okay, let's do super chats. Then I'm out of here. Okay, this has been a terrible experience, and I hated every second of it. I don't even think we have a lot. I think people didn't realize I'd be reading them. Let's make it quick.
Protestant Grow Wiper sent $5. I vow to never log Nick J. Fuentes so long as I live, so help me God. Death to all GC leakers, Kyrie Eleason.
Very true.
Tim Drake sent $3. Can't wait for the Pope to crown you Emperor of America. I am putting my drawing skills to good use and designing the HQ for the AF Security Bureau since the Pentagon was designed by a Satanist.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, thank you.
Vincent sent $3. QA 1, Cobson Wabam.
I don't know what that means, but thanks.
Theophilus sent $5. Thank the Lord, I read on New York Post that Don Jr. was going to go in Trump's place. I was terrified.
Yeah, that would have been terrible.
Goy sent $3. Crowd is paid actors.
Yep, absolutely.
Super Lionheart sent $10. $10 that you'll be named or implied at some point.
Yeah, I guess not.
Richard Percival sent $5. Wasn't ye supposed to be at this debate? Lamau.
We wanted him to be, but a perfidious Jew interfered with that plan. The Eternal Woman, I think, maybe the Eternal Female played a role also. But yeah, that was the plan. That's what we wanted. That's what I wanted to accomplish, was to get him at the Republican debate, but that's okay.
Noah sent $7. I wish my state had better to offer than Nikki Haley and Lindsey Graham. Not the best representation.
And Tim Scott.
The Unknown Soldier sent $3. The elephant not in the room. They said this exact thing in 2016 when he didn't do that RNC debate, in January I believe.
You're right, but it was later. It was in, it was towards the end, but you're right.
The Unknown Soldier sent $3. Asa Hutchinson's hair looks exactly like Benjamin Netanyahu's. Big fan.
Yeah, skin suit. Netanyahu skin suit.
The Unknown Soldier sent $3. Obama was far more presidential than DeSantis. The gay voice is insufferable.
And the prey eyes. His eyes are pleading. You know, look at my eyes right now. His eyes are like this. Well, what we did was, well, I did this in Florida. Like it's like the raised eyebrows, eyes wide. It's like pleading. It's such an ick. Huge turnoff. It's an ick. It's one of those like lookism things. You know, he's not like intensely. He doesn't have predator eyes looking at the camera. He's like, please vote for me. Do you like me? Do you like me? That's how he looks. Pleading, prey eyes. It's worse than the voice. The voice isn't bad, and even the answers weren't bad, but he's got this look like, come on, vote for me just once. Vote for me. Like, it's an ick.
Vincent sent $3. Your opinion on stuff like telepathy, remote viewing, etc.? I suspect humans have long disused senses, or latent senses open to discovery if desired.
No.
Power brokers know and use this arena already.
I think that sounds crazy.
The Unknown Soldier sent $3. When Pence says the southern border of the United States of America with our country's full name like that, it's the campiest thing. It's supposed to sound more patriotic, but it's just filling time.
Yeah, great observation.
Chudave Uslam sent $3. I was so excited to smoke the dark Krishna Lotus pack for President Bodhisattva, but he was too busy cultivating the Sephardic strain.
Is that somebody I know? I feel like that's someone I know. Yeah, his faith in Brahman has led him to do this.
Pentakos2 sent $3. Was there a reason EMJ was not involved in the YE24 stuff last year?
No, that's a retarded question.
J. Pole sent $3. The thing I can't get past with Vivek is that Bannon has been shilling him for years. Deep ties.
Yeah, he's a little bit sus, for sure.
Pretty_fly_white_guy sent $3. 226. Do sales tax mannerisms sorta remind me of Jeb?
No, I think his mannerisms aren't bad.
Groip Polak sent $3. Vivek totally walked back his take on Israel limiting foreign aid by calling them our friends. Hope he gets red-pilled for 2028.
He didn't, I don't think he walked it back. But he did say, well, when I'm out of office, our relationship with Israel will be stronger than ever. That was cringe, but he didn't really walk it back. He just said that, like, we want them to stand on their own feet. So it was kind of hard to hear because the crowd was screaming over him, but it wasn't a full capitulation. With that being said, it's not that he's not
Lots of respect for the old mirror breaker there.
I love when people assume that if someone's pro-Israel, it's like they just don't know. We got to.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can't hit things that are two colors.
He's either in that with them or he doesn't want a confrontation with them, which is reasonable.
Also, this has
Roy
reach.
TF sent $10. Realistically, who do you think Trump should
Get fucked. Scrub.
Fishoto sent $10. 07 and thank you. Without your stream I wouldn't have been able to make it through this deapt. GN King.
Hey, thank you. Good night.
Line Rider sent $3. Try that in a Paul town.
Try that in a Paul town.
Mike Van sent $3. These niggas be like Green Acres is the place to be.
Ah, good reference.
Andrew Labunsky sent $3. Trump is not going to be arraigned tomorrow. He is being booked and processed at the Fulton County Jail. Him there live it on woke thought at the Loomer rally.
Alright, well, whatever it is, I'll stream it.
Jack Turner sent $3. Do you think Trump should smile or not for the mugshot?
He should just do his classic, like, Twitter face. He should do, like, his intense Trump glare. He should do that. No smile.
The Unknown Soldier sent $3. No Nimratayu will not beat Joe Biden.
Yeah, she's not going to beat Trump.
Edgemaster69 sent $3. Vivek said the Constitution is what won us the revolution.
Did he really say
what
that? Did he actually say that? I would be surprised because he seems smart, like he wouldn't make an error like that, but maybe he did.
Classic American Man sent $3. Living in a Jew world.
Living in a new world.
Mike Vance sent $5.
I'm just look at me. I'm just a poor person in the woods with my stupid dogs crying about the world. Aren't I so cute? Amn't I so cute? Oh, look. He's just a stupid poor person in the middle of the woods with his smelly dogs screaming. Aw. Is that what you want people? Is that the response that people want to elicit for whites? Is a poor person, a poor dysgenic person in the woods with their dogs crying? Leave us alone. Leave us alone. I want my mama. I want to go home. Aw, poor white man. Poor little white man. Someone get him a bottle. Someone get him a blanket. Please. He's so cute.
Yeah, Verm. All that guy had to do was
sent $3. Tim Scott
deadly
looks like
cut.
a seal.
You just had to flip the targets
Max
around.
Pachenko sent $3. The Israel lapel pin got me rolling Lamau.
Yeah, seriously.
Bro is literally marked property.
That's his uniform.
SSRI_Kozer sent $3. Thanks for making politics bearable.
Little
Love you,
annoying.
big guy.
I love you too, buddy. Thank you.
Beardson Beardsley sent $3. Evil Oliver Anthony be like, small hat men south of Manhattan.
Okay, really?
Russell Hoagland sent $5. According to Twitter's new rules, it should be prohibited to question white genocide, violence against whites, rape gangs, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, it's kind of a double... If they're going to say no violent event denial, then they should have to ban white genocide denial. Yeah. They're not going to do that. Okay. Welcome to Earth. Hi. I'll be your guide. Welcome to Earth. Well, if they're going to say no racism, then that means no anti-white racism either.
Oh, this guy's cards are lining up in a very annoying way right now.
Apply the standard equally, then. You have a problem with denying the election? Hillary R. Clinton denied the election. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Sorry. But where are you from?
That's
It doesn't
funny.
work like that, okay? It doesn't work like that. You must be new here. I'll be your guide.
He's got his own fable. I
Line
don't
Rider
like
sent
that.
$3. That Chris Christie alien slip-up was crazy. What a strange noise he made.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Vincent sent $3. I love Cobson. Cobson Jemmy.
Okay, thank you. Don't know what that means.
Isaac Ritchie sent $3. I love imagining Pondemantis practicing the
Can't have
retard
another
smile in the
two-man
mirror before the
counterspell.
debate.
Pond Demantits, yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. How hard is it to just act normal?
Calvin Hobbs sent $3. Israel doesn't need America. America needs Israel.
Crazy.
Nikki Haley 2024.
Crazy. I mean, not unexpected, but just insane. Insanity.
Kakapoo Grow Iper sent $4. Hey.
Hey.
Filipino
What is
Catholic
this
sent
hold
$3. What a complete joke this was. Trump made the right move not to associate with these clowns. It would have been bad for his reputation.
True.
White John sent $10. Imagine politics today without NJF.
True.
God of Conquest 91 sent $25. Happy belated birthday, Nick. You are an amazing man and you have so much more ahead of you. God bless.
Guess he was deciding which one he wanted to kill.
Altered Crates sent $25. Thanks for the stream. Couldn't have suffered through it without your commentary and reactions. I will never stop shilling for Nicholas J. Fuentes. You are the only one.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Jack Turner sent $3. Opening question about the song is almost too unbelievable.
I know, that was insane also. Our opening question, Oliver Anthony's song, and I think they even played a part of it. Why do you think this song is resonating with so many Americans? We deserve everything.
Oh no! Another
Henrio
lightning
sent
strike.
$3. The only thing that would have made the
It's
debate
Jover.
more is if they would have mentioned you, even if it was a seethe.
Yeah, that would have been good. Oh well.
Mike Van sent $3. We need to bring down the dollar menu prices so Chris Christie can throw it back on the Jews like Reagan did.
Cringe, dude. That was cool.
Nick Fan 99 sent $5. References: Reagan 20, White 0.
Facts. So much Reagan. That's what it is without Trump, is back to the Reagan worship, which is just ridiculous.
There's no way he's actually got something to think about here.
Choosing Ronald Reagan victory. Jimmy Carter beat by a Republican from a blue state. The Reagan
I
Library.
guess which
really?
creature you
Reagan
sacrifice.
called it a shining city on a hill, dude. That was 40 years ago. That was 45 years ago almost. Enough.
Dimidumdra sent $3. What was the point of bringing the hick with Brezhnev eyebrows onto this debate?
Who's the
Interesting.
Virgo. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know he was running. I had no idea that was even happening. Somehow he met the requirements. I don't even know how that's possible.
Beardson Beardsley sent $3. Happy birthday and have a great birthday from Frankie MacDonald.
Thank you. All right, and we got, let me see. Okay, I think that's our last one. Okay, all right. That's our last super chat. That's going to do it for me. I'll be back here tomorrow. If there's anything to stream with the Trump surrender, I'll stream that. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything we can watch, but if there is, I'll stream that. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll probably be live reacting to the Trump interview. I think I'll do that tomorrow night, depending, though. I might do a show about the courthouse. I might do a reaction to the interview. So I'll keep you posted. Follow me here on Cozy. Follow me on Rumble, cozy.tv/Nick, rumble.com/Nick J. Fuentes. Follow me on Telegram,
Oh, this is so over. What can I do? He probably counters this. Get that music back on. Oh shit. I can transform Shieldred?
Sam, I'm glad you're with me.
I guess I couldn't until he cast the whatchamacallit, the big score. Well, I'm just gonna have to go for that. I mean, that's my only chance of getting back in it. Got one card that could possibly stop it. Nice. Destroy up to one target creature or planeswalker. I mean, I guess we'll hit the Kiki Cheeky. Destroy up to. He really should have countered the Fiend Artisan because now he's going to have to discard this anyways. And he could have got in for a bunch of damage there. Actually had a chance. What does that thing cost? I think it costs 8, the prototype guy. Which means I would need 9 mana to get it with Fiend Artisan. Still 2 away. Could lose this game. I could definitely still lose.
It's done. Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm gonna lose. It's annoying how slow he's playing, though. This dude's used 7 minutes more than I have on game 1. Game 1! I think I'm going to end it after this match, especially with how long this is taking. Like I'm just dead here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Yeah, Colgan my face for 2. Why did that take so long? Annoying. Never been that impressed with Evolved Sleeper, although I have played against it a few times where it was really good, but it never seems to work for me. It's not really a great hand. Draft sucks. How dare you, sir? Opponent's hand isn't that good either. Well, he does have the iteration. We got the Nick raid up to 14 people. there's like what, 10,000 people here watching Nick, and then they all just said, all right, we're out. Ugh, God, I wish I had a mountain.
guns.
This won't work, but gotta try. If he counters this or kills this, I'm just gonna scoop. This is super boring. Dude's used 11 minutes more than, well, 10 minutes more than me on his clock, and I'm just like, I'm over it. All right, I'm gonna call it a night. Catch you guys later.